Okay. Good afternoon to all. It is a great pleasure to call on your assistance with such distinguished speakers in the second Mediterranean Real Estate Forum, the next resetting post-COVID-19. From ASCAMI, we would like to welcome you all today. Real estate markets and associated economic sectors have contributed considerably to the creation of new jobs and the development of other industries, increasing as a result also the gross domestic product and becoming a key sector to boost the economic development of the Mediterranean region. The second edition of the Mediterranean Real Estate Forum is a commitment to the real estate and urban industry as a fundamental basis for economic development through the provision of a platform for business cooperation and also to exchange of new initiatives, programs, and project presentations. Therefore, through today's session, we will offer real estate opportunities, presentations of urban planning and infrastructure, putting special attention at the same time to emerging investment opportunities. The second edition of the Mediterranean Real Estate Forum will be structured into three thematic sections. First of all, we will have a plenary session focused on the Mediterranean real estate market in the post-COVID-19 context, talking about the market overview, opportunities and challenges, and development priorities, among other topics. Secondly, we will focus on the Euro-Mediterranean Gulf region real estate cooperation and opportunities. And thirdly, through the last session, we will focus on the real estate adoption of sustainability and technology. Before start, in order to explain some Zoom functionalities, at the bottom central part of your screen, you will find the chat box, and please use it in case you want to ask a question to the speakers during the Q&A section. And now, starting with the official opening session, we are pleased to count on the presence of such distinguished personalities such as the SCAM's president, distinguished Mr. Ahmed Al-Wakil, also Mr. Walid Musa, International Real Estate Federation, world president during 2019 and 2020, and president of the Arabic countries, and also Mrs. Elizabeth Kamrobi, International Commission's president of the Barcelona Chamber of Commerce, Industry, Services and Navigation. In this way, I give the floor to the distinguished Mr. Ahmed Al-Wakil in order to start with the official opening of the session. And please, Mr. Ahmed Al-Wakil, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Excellencies, partners and friends, welcome to the second edition of the MEDA Real Estate. SCAMI's practical way of walking the talk out of the COVID-19 crisis, putting our SCAMI's recovery and new development plan into action. Real estate development is the translation of the stimulus package we highly need to get our economies moving. It is the driver of not only the construction sector and infrastructure projects, but hundreds of industries in the building material sector. And our Mediterranean has always been the haven of the real estate. Millions of people from the Gulf and other countries have always been buying our real estate beauties, whether it is on the Mediterranean itself or in our desert or on top of the mountains. And Egypt is a leader in that sector, where we have almost finished 20 new mega fourth-generation cities, inclusive a new capital, to host 5 million people, and all with the private sector investments. No wonder that we in SCAMIS shall form a new commission for real estate where we do invite our new partner, the International Real Estate Federation. Reducing domestic demand due to containment measures and a decline in demand from the main trading partners has affected both industry and services, but saved money for real estate investment, which we are witnessing in Egypt. Together, we'll explore today opportunities and challenges of the Mediterranean real estate ecosystem. Business offered by 20 Mediterranean countries, their markets, which is a golden opportunity for companies going through a hard time to get new business in the Mediterranean region, and will help cushion the blow of low trade and FDI flow. Our aim is to create solid partnerships, unlock more investment opportunities, and pave the way for better international collaboration, and pave the way for better international collaboration through highlighting the economic strength of the Mediterranean region and help explore its business landscape that will be presented by our top-level panelists from leading politicians, company, and decision makers in the iconic regional webinar. All this and more is the outcome of our active secretariat led by our able coordinator, Mr. Anwar Zibawi, whom I thank on behalf of all of you. Now, let's start our conference and work together to promote our Mediterranean. Thank you all. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ahmed Al-Wakil. With pleasure. Now we have the pleasure to give the floor to Walid Musa. Please, Walid, the floor is yours. Thank you very much.
Thank you. First of all, I'd like to thank President Ahmed Al-Wakil for his dedication to ASCAME, along with the tremendous support of Mr. Anwar Zibawi that has turned the association into a leading economic entity in the region. Welcome, dear guests, to the first virtual real estate forum organized by FIABSI Arabic countries and ASCAME. As promised, this will be a yearly event where we come together to discuss the state of the real estate markets around the Mediterranean, their novelties and their fluctuation, their needs and their opportunities. The purpose of this forum is to link these markets, bring it together, the various member countries organizationally, legally, and in terms of investment. We all know the impact of COVID-19 has had on our sector. Some of us adapted to the pandemic better than others, especially in the residential markets. Most countries saw their retail and hospitality sector suffer, though the high online demand has brought to life the logistic business and consequently the warehousing. And this constitutes an investment opportunity for countries that were unprepared for this activity. Today, we welcome leaders and experts from all around the Mediterranean and the Arab world, two regions with deep ties, born from a common cultural background and shared investment interests. We seek to strengthen these ties and promote Arab-African-European relations, allowing each member to benefit from the other's experience and investment opportunities. Finally, I would like to announce, as Mr. Wakil have already mentioned, the creation of the ASCAMI Real Estate Commission, a representative body meant to unite real estate professionals and organizations around the Mediterranean. Together, we will work in the interest of our sector, whether in terms of legislation, sustainability, affordable social housing, investment opportunities, and more, with the final goal of creating an independent real estate association for the Mediterranean countries. I leave you to enjoy this virtual forum that will henceforth bring us together on a yearly basis. Perhaps, with some luck, we will also be able to gather in person for a physical event on the beautiful shores of our Mediterranean Sea. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Walid. Hopefully in the near future, we will see just face-to-face all together. Thank you very much for these grateful inputs. Now we have the opportunity to move and give the floor to Mrs. Elizabeth Camp-Rubí. Thank you very much for your presence today. The floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Distinguished 30 speakers and panelists. Yeah, it is a pleasure for me to be here today again in representation of Barcelona Chamber of Commerce, collaborator of this event. First of all, let me thank President Ahmed Malcahel and the President Walid Moussa for their wonderful introductory speeches and their usual collaboration. This is the second edition of Mediterranean Real Estate Forum organized by ASCAMI and the International Real Estate Federation of Arabic Countries. I would like to thank both organizations very much for their initiative and hard work. The Barcelona Chamber of Commerce has been pleased to collaborate in this event. And well, the real estate sector has long been a core economic sector and investment of choice in the Mediterranean region, buoyed by strong demand fundamentals from solid population and the GDP growth. Realizing its importance in shaping their nascent economies and its action as a catalyst for growth and diversifying the economy, many local governments have set up large national real estate developments championships and pushed to establish ambitious megacities in urban development. However, the region, it is not a single uniform market and remains divided into old markets and new markets. COVID-19 has caused significant disruptions across the real estate across 2020, with owners and occupiers having to make necessary adjustments to business operations in response to the restrictions on capacity and mobility, as we all know. A wake-up call at all levels. Indeed, we must turn a crisis into an opportunity. It may be time for market players to come up with long-term sustainable strategies as well. As we know, there is a great demand of high-end, but at the same time, affordable suppliers in the real estate sector in the Mediterranean countries. However, the greatest challenge lies on finding suitable and sustainable providers while still maintaining their international standards and practices. Indeed, the adoption of sustainability and technology are two critical themes that has been fast-tracking by the COVID-19 pandemic and are likely to shape the recovery of the sector in the next years as well. Starting from transformations that is taking place in the global real estate industry to having to include the impact of technology, innovation, new product types, global urbanizations, and any other remarkable development at the unprecedented times. These, among other challenges, will be analyzed today during these 3 sessions of the forum by renowned experts of the sector, whom we thank very much for their participation. To end up with these words, I would like to welcome all participants and wish you all a wonderful event. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you very much, Elizabeth. Thank you. Thank you for such valuable inputs. Okay, in this stage, we give the floor also again to Mr. Walid Moussa, who will guide us during this first plenary session. Thank you very much. And also, it's a great pleasure to count on your participation. Therefore, we start with this first session, Mediterranean real estate market post-COVID-19. Thank you. The floor is yours again, Walid. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Anna, for being the moderator of this opening speeches. Actually, it seems that we all finished earlier than we were supposed to finish. That's a good sign, because usually speakers takes always more time than what is dedicated to them. In any case, I'd like to say good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all our participants on the Mediterranean, on the Arabic countries, and around the world. Today we are in a Mediterranean panel, the Mediterranean event, but at the same time we have people attending from all around the planet. The importance of such event is to try to link countries that have a common background, a common cultural background, and that have interests together, to try to see how we can link them on all aspects. And that for that reason, as I've announced before with President Wakil, we have the intention, we will start by creating a commission for the Real Estate Association of the Mediterranean, and then later on, one of its main purpose will be to create an association, an independent association to the Mediterranean countries, and we will work hardly to do it very fast, and try to start this new mission as soon as possible. So it will be a great pleasure today to be moderating this session with very well-known leaders in the real estate industry in the Mediterranean and in the Arabic countries. We will start listening to each speaker independently for approximately 7 to 10 minutes. And then we will ask them some questions to cover all aspects of our topic. And this first session will be entitled Mediterranean Real Estate Market Post-COVID-19, How to Move Forward. It's very interesting to try to understand what is happening in the different market of the Mediterranean Sea. Each market is reacting differently, and depending on the identity of the buyers, mainly, because I've noticed as an international expert that if a country have local buyers and have the capabilities to give credit to its own people, the market have reacted differently than countries that usually are depending on foreigner buyers. So that's why here today we will be having a different kind of perspective to explain to us how those markets have been reacting to the COVID-19, and to really understand what would be the expectation for the coming years after the pandemic is over. I say after the pandemic is over because we never know when the pandemic will be over. Are we over from the pandemic? Are we going to be over in 6 months? Are we going to be over in in a year? So I don't think that we still know if this pandemic will end or not. How are we going to adapt to it? How is the hospitality and the tourism sector are going to adapt to it? So I think that we are still in a discovery mode. Hopefully, we're going towards a better, let's say, better times. Today we're a lot better than we were a year ago. I'll try to. Today we have different kind of speakers. As I mentioned, leaders from different countries. I have just been announced that unfortunately, that our Tunisian friend, the president of the real estate brokerage of Tunisia, have just announced to me that he's COVID positive. He discovered today that he's COVID positive, and he's not gonna be able to join this panel, unfortunately. We are going to wish for him the best of luck, and hopefully he will get out of it very soon. So that's why we will start directly by a very famous real estate leader. Gerald Duelo is a big name in the real estate sector in Spain, with over than 30 years of experience. I said 30 years because I don't want them to think that you are very old. So 30 years of experience is enough. Gerald is the president of COAPI, the General Council of Associations of Real Estate Agents of Spain, that have the purpose to represent and defend the interests of registered real estate agents. I did my best to translate the title. It's a big title, but I hope that it worked out for me. Bienvenido, hermano. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Walid. Good afternoon to everybody. Presentation is okay. You have a lot of, it's not important. First of all, I want to thank to the organizers for their kindness, for inviting me to participate in this interesting Mediterranean forum. I would like to focus today, these 7-8 minutes, on how COVID is affecting real estate sales in Spain. In both ways, in general sales and the sales to foreigners. And especially I mentioned about Mediterranean areas. Other aspects, I suppose, will be treated by other colleagues. The COVID has meant that we went from nearly 490,000 sales in the 2019 to, we decreased to 415,000 transactions in the 2020. That means a decrease of 7.7, nearly to 18% decrease from one year to another, from the 2020 to 2019. The largest drop has been the largest drop in 9 years, and the lowest number of transactions since the 2016. All through the first quarter of this year, the 2021, with near to 127,000 transactions, means that we will close the year, this year, I hope about 500,000 transactions, which, if it's that, will have overcome the COVID effect. I'll become some more aspects about that. The sales in the first quarter of this year, we are having a spectacular recoveries. I mean, the name of this forum is how to reset, no? To reset. Well, we are already resetting. We're already resetting because it's even so the recovery in the widely distributed in all the wide areas, because does not happen the same in large capitals as in the provincial cities. Is not does the same occur in urban centers, in the center of Barcelona or Madrid, that in the peripheric, with more natural, with more space, with the sea, with mountains. Habits of life that COVID has come to modify. Everybody knows that. In relation to sales to foreigners, which last year in the 2020, they bought 26% less than what they bought a year before. That means about 26,000 houses instead to 63,000 houses. Fortunately, very far from what happened is the bad figures of the 2009. Everybody knows the very economic crisis in 2009. The sales in this moment in the 2009, was about 16,500 houses to foreigners. We are a lot more than that, so it's a different crisis. So the sales to foreigners last year represent only on 11%, nearly 11.3% of total sales in Spain. The British, the French, and the Germans people, they are the more important. Then later came the Morocco people, etc. But that's accounting at most 30% of the total sales of foreigners. All the foreigners, they are buying some house in Spain or some real estate the item. The 30% are more or less British, French, and German. But the strip of because we are in the Mediterranean Real Estate Forum, it's important to know that the strip of the Central Mediterranean coast, the Spanish Mediterranean coast, which is the Valencian community, the Catalonia community, the Balearic Islands, Murcia, and the East Andalusia, the East Andalusia, they concentrate the maximum international attention. It's a lot more than all the rest of Spain, with nearly 30% of all the foreigners' investments in Spain in real estate. So the 30% of the real estate investment in real estate in Spain by foreigners is concentrated a lot in the Mediterranean coast of Spain. As can be seen, these 5 communities I mentioned make the complete area of the metropolitan Mediterranean area of Spain and represent the most important part of the foreign investment in my country. After the previous Spanish crisis of the 2012, more or less 6 years, in the real estate sector, investment funds appear attracted by the opportunity to price fall. Price down, good opportunity to buy. In the sector they were motivated by the crisis because in the fixed income markets, they really, in the fixed income markets, they found in the real estate sector a good place to buy, negotiating for volume with a decrease between 20 and 40% of the sales price at this moment, outsourcing the management of the properties for a 4% guaranteed profitability. Many times, not taking into account defaults, renovations, and the final state in which the buildings are often left. This phenomenon means that the build to rent, what we call build to rent, has, in my opinion, a short life now. I think the new situation will be again to promote the purchase houses, to purchase the house, to buy the house for a lot. And I'm going to tell several factors, in my opinion, in Spain, is the base for my opinion. The first is the Spanish people prefer to save money rather than to rent. The Spanish, our culture is different for Germans, or for Hollands, or etc. No? The Spanish people prefer to save the money rather than rent. Spanish families saved the last year nearly 15% of historic, which is historic saving. It's a 14.6, so it's historic. Of course, nobody could go out and spend the money. They could not do traveling to other countries. No? Developers get more profit by selling to retail than by wholesaling to funds. There is a group of citizens between 35 to 45 years old who they have not bought because they had not been able to. But at the moment they access property. So they'll do. I have 5 daughters and 3 are going to buy a house. Interest rates in Spain are very low, in many countries, of course, and are expected to remain that way for some time, I think a few years at least. The mortgage war between financial institutions is going to become more and more evident. So the COVID pandemic has changed real estate consumption habits. Our habits are different. Increasing the boom in second homes, larger homes, and more exterior and natural homes with more light, with mountains, etc. I think more or less from Barcelona, by memory, 37% of the actual demand is people from a Barcelona city who they want to go out to the peripheral cities, lovely cities, not so far of Costa Brava, but quite close. No? Another reason is when the gross product, the GDP, is doing well, the real estate sector is always doing well too. And Spain now has a better stage, better scenario that when our country entry in the past, they into the European Union about 35 years old. So between what happened between 1986 and 2019, Spain received then, just for the previous crisis, 89,000 million euros. Between these years, just these years, from today, the 2021 and the 2027, I hope will receive near 73 billion euros in non-refutable transfer from European Union, what we call next generation power. So we are not so bad. We are recovering, we are resetting. And I think then we have to look ahead with a great courage and enthusiasm to the future, taking advantage of our circumstance of the pandemic for reset our companies, and the more important, especially reset our minds. I could add more things to say, especially about the Mediterranean economic political context, of the problems of the region, etc. But it's more or less the 6 or 7 minutes. So
no, you can continue for you have some more minutes because we started earlier. So we're very interested to continue hearing your perspective.
Yeah, okay. I'll be delighted also to hear from my colleagues about that because numbers, you know, I need a lot of numbers and things like that, but I don't think today. Today, the more important is maybe, and just speak a minute more, just to say that numbers, results, sales, decrease, increase, gross profit, all that is okay. It is the ratios we will. But the more important for the Mediterranean people, you know, I live in many places in the world. I live in Japan, I live in United States, but I know very well all the Mediterranean countries. I know Italy, I know Greece, I know Morocco, I know Spain, of course, I know the south of France, etc. And I know also Arabic countries. I've been in all of them, etc. But the concept of I have the Mediterranean is very special people. I mean, I always say that the north of Germany are known as always as open people as the south of Germany. The same happened in France, people from Paris or Toulouse. The same happened in Spain, no? Basque people or Andalusia people. The same happened in Italy, you know, from Milan or from Naples. I don't know why the north and the south is a big change, no? So Mediterranean people is always with the sun, is happy. They are special people who we are special. So I think that after the COVID, we learn a lot of things, but real estate will come very, very important. In Spain, real estate now is probably the first, second, the more important part of the gross product. Before it was hostelry, I mean tourism. The tourism in Spain, Italy, and Greece is the more important. Hotels and restaurants, traveling agencies, etc. But pandemic is going to affect them more than real estate. Real estate become now, a lot of people did not think about change the house or buy a house after so many years in a rent. But after we so many months, so many time close in the house, they want a house bigger. They want to live. I don't mind 1 hour from Barcelona city or Madrid city if it's more space for the same money or with a little garden. So the habits of buyers are changing a lot. I spoke this morning with Italian people, and they were telling me exactly the same that happened. This is happening in Italy. So I don't know what is happening in the north of Europa, but in Mediterranean, I think a lot of things are very similar. So I'll be delighted to hear from my colleagues if they want to tell us with more experience than me in other countries, what is happening at this moment after, let's say, no, we cannot say after the COVID, but we can say, I hope, very close to after the COVID. No?
Hopefully. Actually, we're in a situation where we don't really know in which stage we are, but I think that things are positive and hopefully we'll get out of this. But the main issue is, and what worries me, is the global economy, because now the global economy is not working on an organic way. States and government are injecting money into the economies. Later on, what will happen when this injection is over, when the cash that is being injected in the market will stop? And this is where we will really know what will happen in the global economy, in the local economies, and consequently, what will be the effect on the real estate sector. So that's the big question mark that we will have to wait. But nevertheless, as my friend Herald said, that if relatively the real estate sector have been, if we put apart the retail and the hospitality and the tourism, as a real estate sector, especially if we talk about the residential market, I think that it went very well and it resisted, the real estate market resisted this pandemic. In any case, from one of the most beautiful countries on the Mediterranean, we have a special guest today with a heavy background in real estate, Mr. Antonio Campagnoli, president of the Italian chapter of the International Real Estate Federation, FIAPSI Italia, board member of the International Real Estate Federation. Welcome on board. Mr. Campagnoli have a knowledge and a big knowledge in the Italian market and as well in many countries around Italy. It will be very interesting to listen to him and to know what are his perspective and what's happening in Italy and what could be the future of the real estate market in Italia. Mr. Campagnoli is as well founder of Il Punto Corfac International that deals with local and international real estate transaction. Mr. Campagnoli, the floor is yours. Please go ahead.
Yes, thank you very much. I hope that you hear me. The Italian market is very similar to the Spain one. We are very close physically, and also like the market, the type of culture link us to a way where basically the COVID situation push many villages to be restored. And we had many people that start to be back in their own town. As you know, Italy has not a very big birth rate. So we basically lose every year people from who is born, who is dying. And they made the situation of what we call smart working a possible opportunity for the real estate. And as before we mentioned, Europe, including Italy, and as most of the European country, but especially in the Mediterranean, has a wonderful countryside, has many villages. And one of part of the recovery plan is going to be put in financing the reconstruction and of especially internet and basically to push people back in the countryside. This is but if you see the numbers of Milan and Rome, we see that the market has not lost. So for one big reasons, people is saving money. If you see the statistic, people is going to put in the bank more money than what they usually put. And they usually now try to also to see what's happening in the big town, especially not really in the city centers, because after what happening in the COVID very best, worst moment, they now look for apartment where they have also have terrace and place where have to play with kids and stuff. So maybe not only the really center of the town is growing, but also the most peripheric part. And does make also many developer interested in a new project. In fact, Milan has thousands of new development. If you come in Milan, you see a lot of like working sites, a lot. So there are basically two lines of business. One is the city, especially with new products, products that look for garden, open space, apartment of 100 square meters with 25 square meters of terrace, huge amount of terrace. If you see 5 years ago only, if you want to sell an apartment like this, you say, oh no, you cannot sell me 50,000 euro of terrace, is a waste. Today, no, if you don't have it, you don't sell it. So the design of the project has changed, and this make also the quality of the project totally different from the past. The countryside, the most big investment is the internet connection. The connection by 5G is growing, and the state is pushing a huge amount of money to allow people to have a good connection also in the remote side, in the remote village. And the price of the countryside was very low, because it was a disaster, like recover a lot. So the life is changing. I don't know for how long, but today people is living in a different way from before. And this make like also changing in the residential for sure. Also in the industrial sector, like logistic is affected, but the residential is changing. The project that now they showed yesterday, there was a Italy, and we make a couple of presentations, and they have a lot of co-working space for common garden, common kindergarten. Many places are in the old mentality of the developer, lost of square meters. Today is not anymore see as a waste, but is like a premium of a way to sell all the project immediately. So thank you very much for this occasion. I think the Mediterranean is a wonderful place where to invest, and I think we need to grow this association and this federation, because we are basically connected with by the sea. If we for a few hours of airplane, we can be together. So we need to see each other as a unique market, as the history teach us, because basically from Lebanon to Italy, the connection come from 2,000 years ago or even more. So thank you very much for this opportunity, and it was a big pleasure and an honor to be invited.
Great, thank you, President Campagnoli. Stay with us because we will be asking some questions later on. Thank you for this perspective on the Italian markets. Interesting to know what's happening in Italy. Now we have a very special guest, Mr. Alain Dufour, president of SMPE, the first real estate syndicate established in France in 1963. Mr. Dufour is also president of the European Property Federation and is a board member of the International Real Estate Federation. Mr. Dufour, Monsieur le Président, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Walid. It's so many titles for me. Thank you so much. I'm very pleased to be with you today, and it's an honor for me to participate to your meeting. It was such a difficult day for me to choose a window to come in your meeting, but I'm very pleased. I can tell you something about the French market. You know, we have 15 members now in France, and we have some good view of the market. It seems that in Europe, everything will be in the same way. For housing, people are changing the way they will buy for the future. A lot of people want to buy apartment in the cities with a terrace. Also, a lot of people want to buy a second home in countries or next to the sea. We know now that people don't have to work 5 days each week. So they will manage the time to go at home and at the office. They can, I think when we will restart to work and in the office, it will be 1 day, 2 days, 3 days. I don't think we will see all our employees in our office more than 3 or 4 days a week. It will be the maximum. In the market in France now, it's a little bit down because people have some new project. You know, we stay at home for a few months, and people have some other main goal to do. They want to live, they want to participate with their friends, they want to go to restaurant, they want to go to cinema. So housing is not a priority the last 2 weeks. We see a big difference. Market will be more quiet. It will restart in September, I think so. It will be very different too for the business, for the market with the buildings for investor. We know we have to wait to see our American friends coming back, Arabic countries coming back, Eastern country coming back. So the market, for instance, is waiting for reopening in September. For the offices, there will be a big change too, because a lot of people who are working in open space want little space, more close. They don't want to share space with their neighbors. They want more privacy and more security. If not in open space, you have to keep your mask. And for instance, it's still difficult. The biggest problem for our market, housing or commercial market, we are talking about after COVID, but nobody knows when it will be really after COVID. We see the numbers of cases going down everywhere. Vaccine is going up, but we are not sure that September will reopen and will stay at the same place. So we have to be very prudent, take care of our members, our clients, and we hope it will recover as soon as possible. But it will be very, very soft in September, October, November, and nobody knows very certainly when it will reopen clearly. Hope it will be before the end of the year, but we do everything to be open and to restart as soon as possible. I hope for Lebanese people, the market will be good now, and we start to live and with all the the difficulties you had to face August 4 last year, COVID, and a lot of things. Hope for Lebanese it will be good now, and I hope for our friends from Mediterranean it will be good too. And we are all in the same boat. The boat seems to be going out of the port. We have to wait and be very prudent. Thank you, Mr. President, to invite me. Thank you, and it was good to see our friends too. Thank you.
Thank you, President Dufour, for this very fruitful intervention. And yes, before I ask you a question, since you opened the topic of Lebanon, it's interesting to see how each market reacts differently to its, the local situation. In Lebanon, people, because of the economical crisis and the disastrous economical crisis that the country is facing, and the bankruptcy of the state, of the government, people have reacted directly to remove their money that is trapped in the bank, and there was no way to remove it, whether in cash or international transfer. People have reacted in only one direction in last year, in 2020, which was by buying real estate. So the market have went crazy in 2020 in the real estate. Why? Because people had no choice. It was not organic, but it was true. People were removing money and putting them into the real estate market, and we've seen a crazy market the last year. Even though with the Beirut explosion, everything continued, because people are even more afraid, because so many disastrous situations that people had to use their money, because they don't know what will happen with the bank, and the bank is restricting the use of all this money inside them. So it's interesting to see how every country have different reaction. If we go to Egypt, for example, I was reading that the residential, there's a huge population in Egypt, but the problem is the economical situation, and there is demand, but it seems that still the real estate market in Egypt, the residential real estate market in Egypt, is still struggling and not being able to grow as it should. And in the year 2020, there was like a 2% drop in the prices. But at the same time, Egypt was the only country in the Mediterranean, let's say in the Arabic countries, from the Arabic countries, not the Mediterranean, that have seen a growth in its economy, because in the last year they've had really smart policies to reactivate the economy. On the commercial side, you will be as well very surprised that the commercial real estate was not so much affected in Egypt, because maybe the corona effect was not as it was in other countries. So if we go to Tunisia, Tunisia have a huge economical crisis, and they're suffering, and there's a big drop in prices in commercial and residential prices, and they had not had the opportunity to say that we want to buy secondary houses, because the economical crisis is bigger than let's say the behavior of the consumer. So unfortunately, they've had tough times, and we've seen that the real estate market have seen a drop in the prices and in the demand. If we go back to France, I'd like to ask President Dufour. I remember that you've told me once about the false secondary homes, that the secondary houses were called false faux maisons secondaires, because people are living more in those houses than in the primary houses. My first question is it everywhere in France, or people are asking in specific region for their secondary houses, for example, in the Côte d'Azur, or it's everywhere in France?
Thank you, Walid. Since May last year, our market is very active. We recover very, very fast. And for the second home, it's everywhere in France. It could be 200 kilometers from Paris. It could be 100 kilometers or 50 kilometers from Lyon, from Toulouse, from Bordeaux. It's everywhere. It's in the country and not only on Côte d'Azur. Côte d'Azur, it's more for holidays. But, you know, before COVID, we had a flight from Paris to Nice, each 30 minutes. So now people working from home, we all see that we can work from home. And of course, we want to have physical contact with people. We need to have physical contact. But we know that 1 day, 2 days, 3 days each week, we can go outside from the office. And so 30 minutes, each 30 minutes flight from Paris to Nice, or from Toulouse to Paris, or from Lyon to Paris, it's very easy to go out. After, it's a problem, economic problem, if people have enough money to do it or not. But we can go 2 hours, 3 hours, and 1 day in our office. A lot of people are thinking about it.
But my question to you, President Dufour, is: do you think after the pandemic is over, and now you've told me you've told us a very interesting point, that the last 2 weeks the market have slowed down because people have discovered life again. They said they've forgotten about real estate. They've seen back the coffee shop, the life, the interaction. So the question that I'll ask myself, and especially in France, will the French client will still continue to search houses outside the city when life can come back to normal inside the city? Do you think that people will again go and say, no, I want my garden? Because we have tendency, human beings have tendency to have short memory. When life come back to normal and they can see that life is fun again in the city, I think that a lot of them will change their mind and they'll come back and live in their boxes. So what do you think will happen in that case?
They will continue to go outside from the big cities. They will continue. If they have enough money to do it, and if there is no more crisis with economic problem, they will continue to find some second home outside, or it will be their first home outside from Paris, from Lyon, or from cities more important, and come 1 day or 2 days in a hotel in the big main cities. They will continue to go out. They will continue, but it will depend of if they have children who have to go to school. It will be more for people after 45 years or 50. They have not so many obligation with the children. You know, if you go 200 kilometers, 100 kilometers from main city, for the young people, for the youth to go to school or to study in faculties, it's much more difficult. So I think it will be more for the 45 or 50 and plus to go outside of the main cities, or even for people who have children from 3, 4, or 10 years. They can go outside, but for the families, children between 10 and 25, I think they will stay in the main cities.
What's usually the percentage of foreign buyers in the French real estate market? Because I will ask the same later on to President Duello. What is the percentage? Because I'm sure there's a difference between France and Spain in that percentage. So do you have any idea about the percentage of foreign buyers in the French market?
It depends on the countries, and no, we cannot say it today. Last year it was zero. It's
zero. What about the normal times?
It stops everything. But normally in Paris, it's about 15%.
And that's the highest. In Paris, it's the highest number.
Côte d'Azur, some city has big interest, and some region has big interest. Côte d'Azur, Paris, They are the main city for foreigners to buy. And Côte d'Azur, it's between 20-25%. Paris, it's 15, yes. And I hope they will be back, and I'm sure they will be back, because Paris and France is not expensive. The market is not expensive. If you compare Paris to Tokyo, to New York, the main cities in the world, Paris, it's a safe capital for money, good construction, so they will come back. I'm sure of it.
It seems there's a lot of question coming for you, Mr. Diffou. If you can wait for the public question. I know that you have a lot of engagement, as long as you can, but feel free if you have to leave.
I will have to leave in 2-3 minutes. Sorry, President.
Okay. So, President Duelo, we know that
just to add something, just one figure. French people this year bought 8%, so 8%. Good in Spain.
8%
so
in Spain.
8% of all the foreigners are French people, so it's just that.
What do you have to say about that, Mr. Diffou? It's a big number, 8% of French people buying in Spain. It's an important number.
8%, no, let me clear. All the buyers, they bought something in Spain, okay? 13% are English, and the second position is for French people with 8.2%.
Okay. So from the foreigners buyers, 8% are French people on the second position.
I don't know how many Spanish people they went to buy something in France. I don't know, but I know how many French people they come to buy something.
Less. I'm sure it's less. Sorry.
Less.
Yes, but French people bought a lot in Spain, Italy, and of course Portugal. A lot of French people want to buy something outside.
Yeah, that will be an interesting question to know. People are getting outside the cities, but are they getting as well outside the country?
Some of them. You know, I am often in Portugal. I see so many French people in Portugal. It's crazy.
I think that's part of the pandemic effect. People want really to change of life, and with their economical situation as well, they search for cheaper markets to live in. I think that Portugal have a good rapport, good balance between life. It's still a European country with all the beauty of European country, and less expensive than Spain, than France or northern countries of Europe.
And some countries make attractive measure of taxes. That's the case of Portugal. French people coming in Portugal for 10 years don't pay taxes.
Wow. Now we'll ask President Duelo about this and Antonio later on about this.
So sorry, President.
Thank you, President Diffou.
All the best for you all, and see you soon.
President Diffou will be with us in the new initiative of the Mediterranean Association that we have declared today, together to create a unified real estate association for the Mediterranean countries. So, President Duelo, very interesting points that we've discussed with Monsieur Alain Diffou. First of all, I'd like to ask you, since we know that the Spanish market is very affected and dependent from foreigner buyers, do you think that foreigners will come back to Spain and invest in Spain and live in Spain? What will be the behavior of the foreigner buyer? Don't you think as well that Spanish people will invest more in their own market? How would you see it? Would it be any change of this mix between local and foreigner investors in Spain?
Yes, the answer is yes, and now I want to say why. I think that what happened with the pandemic, which with different reactions in different countries, but in general, in France, Italy, England, Germany, Holland, I don't know other countries, but all those, I have friends and family, they like change something the life, you know, because pandemic did not also affect the money, affect the person, affect the family, affect a lot of things, and especially David, how to you want to live. So the countries we have luck and we have a lot of sun and wine and good beaches and a lot of things, cheap fruit and etc., 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 which is the Mediterranean. You know, we call the Mediterranean diet and the oil and all that. I think we increase a few points our attractive for the future. So I think that the investors, they go where the people goes. And if we speak about residential real estate, I think will increase foreigners' residence in Spain. That is my point of view. So I think the foreigners' residence in Spain, it seems that will increase in Alicante and in Canarias. Maybe in Baleares is different type. In Baleares is more tourist. But in Murcia, in Alicante, in Valencia, in Malaga, part of Almeria, Sevilla, Canary Islands, is a residence for a long time. People who retire or people who done with a teletrabajo, they can, in fact, I have of the 5 families, of the 5 daughters, 2, one is from Holland, another one is from another East country. Both are in these days in Spain, working in teletrabajo. So they are working for Holland and they are working for Georgia in my house. Working in teletrabajo. So I think the teletrabajo, all the digital online and working, as Alan mentioned, I think, or company Antony, I think mentioned, will increase. Then if I must work from far from home, I can, why not, I can be residential in Italy, in France, in South France, or in Spain, or in other countries, or in Mediterranean. No? I'm speaking of Spain.
Yes. What about the golden visa? Do you think that, because I've always wondered why the golden visa is higher in Spain as an amount than other countries. Now that we are searching again for foreigners, do you think, and will you be working on lowering the amount of investment to get this golden visa?
Well, I didn't know much. I didn't want to be involved in the golden visa, but a lot of friends, my friends and friends, you know, as Raisa and other people who probably is now at this moment connected, they are specialized in that. So they have a lot of China people, a lot of people who they want to the golden visa. I have no idea exactly because I never like the system of that. I did not like it. I don't want to now do a big speech about that, but I did not like it. This money to residents, money for residents, depend on the level, depend on what I'm buying. I think there are another systems. $500,000 in 1 or 2 buyers, $500,000 to get a permanent residence is another in a way to do politics and all. But in any case, if it's higher or not the other countries, I never compare what happened in the country to his lawyer, because maybe another country with his lawyer, nobody goes. His lawyer, but nobody buys anything. Probably it's very, very, very easy to go to Peru at this moment and buy something, no? And nobody wants to go to Venezuela, even if it's if a golden visa is 10 euros. I mean, it's depending. So Spain, probably somebody calculate that $500,000 is enough for to get some stable. I told you, I don't like the system of golden visa just to buy something because you want resident. I lived that in Panama. I've been 4 years in Panama, and Panama has a lot of buildings, skylights, all empty, all empty. They bought it, but nobody lived there. I mean, they live maybe 10 days or 15 days, not much. All these big cities are quite empty just because they bought something to have some residence or some papers. I think is not a real estate really. It's not a life, from my point of view, is not very clever. Maybe it's clever from economy, but not from my point of view of a city. No, a clever city, the future of the cities, there need to be other type of cities. I think that in the 1968, I was living in London many years ago, it's more than 50 years ago, and there were a lot of buildings empty, but people were buying just a flat to be there, part of the residence there. I mean, all that is not to me. You need to ask me. I'm not. It's not something I like.
Someone is asking you a question, and he's saying, "How would you attract investment to the real estate sector after the pandemic? What would be the strategy of to attract back the real estate investment?"
Yes. Well, first, as I mentioned, will be a lot of people, Spanish people. They like they don't like to rent. They prefer to expend the money instead to rent. So the countries where people like to spend and buy is a country nice to invest. Second, our rate at this moment, our developers, they are working for a very short margin. So price, if the rent of the money, the interest is very low, and it's going to keep very low, it's a country very interesting to invest. So in my company, my personal company, I don't know what institutions I'm the president, I have two divisions. I am the broker for flats, etc., etc. I'm the broker only for big buildings, big hotels, big lands, no less than 5 or 10 million. For the last 20 years, specialized on that. I do about 20 operations a year, no much more, but in the Barcelona city, important ones. No? I did not find, I have a lot of work. I have a lot of funds are looking for buildings at the moment. I mean, I've been, of course, 4 months with a confinamiento, no? So this is nothing to say. But now we have a lot. We have at this moment a lot of work and a lot of offers. But no offers very, very, very low. Offers low, offers because people don't like to pay much more than what they can negotiate. But I'll tell you something. My problem is not go and find investment. My problem is find the product, the right, and the investment wants. So we need to find, as the women and the men, you need to be the right husband, but she needs to be the right wife. No? So we need to find, but we have a lot of work. But not now, not from yesterday, from nearly all the time. I mean, a lot of funds, investment funds, did not get afraid for what happened. No, they thought, oh, it must be good moment. Sure, it's a good moment when everything is convulsed. So the afraid, what could be afraid of money? Of course, the people, the invest people is always afraid. The people who has money is always afraid. It's always afraid. But no more than what could be the normal.
I'll come back to you to the commercial, to the hospitality and hotel. I'm interested in that. In any case, as well, when we finish our call, I have a request to from someone that have to buy an hotel. So we'll talk about this as well later on.
Hotels is, I spoke about buildings. Hotels at this moment, in 20 years, I did a broker of about 90 hotels. And hotels has been a big change at this moment, Only funds are buying hotels. Before 10 years ago, Otusa, a lot of NH, Rio, all they were buying hotels. Now, 9 of the 9 first, let's say, operation companies are buying hotels. But really, are investment funds who buy hotels for the operators. That is a big change.
Okay, I'll come back to you with that in a while. Mr. Campagnoli, are you with us, Presidente Campagnoli? Antonio. I hope the organizer can contact him. Meanwhile, Meanwhile, Presidente, yes.
Sorry, I was a problem with the connections.
Yeah, don't worry, don't worry. So as an expert in the commercial real estate business, and you live in a city, Milan, that is quite strong in the commercial segment of the real estate, whether we're talking about retail, industry, offices, what will be the future of these different categories? How do you see it? Because the retail business, the office business was quite hit during that pandemic. And we know that Milan is by excellence a retail city, and at the same time, so many industries, so many offices, so many companies in Milan. So how do you see it in the how do you see it in the future? And what about the hospitality? And the second question: what about the hospitality sector in Italy, especially in a country where travel and tourism has a very big share in the local GDP? We know how important is tourism in the local GDP. So my first question to you would be commercial real estate, industrial and retail. And from another side, I'd like to know a little bit more about tourism and what will happen to the hospitality and tourism sector in Italy.
So about hospitality, just to let you know, we created a team last year of 3 people fully paid to follow all the hospitality sector. So we believe also internally in our company that is one of the main business that we can follow, because has been very hit by the crisis, but on the same time give opportunity, and you can buy for much less than before. And there are a lot of new opportunity in the market. So on that side, we invested, we participated for the first time last October in the main exhibition of the leisure market, and so we invested a lot in that sector. About the retail, I believe that this will be a totally different matter. The retail is facing a moment of rethinking. The big malls are facing a big crisis. What happened in our market is growing a lot of little surface, selling, for example, for the food, for example, if 10 years ago there was growing the big grocery shop, today they go for 400, 500, 600 maximum square meters, but in the middle of the center. So I remember this also, I saw this also in Beirut. So I went to take something with you, Walid, in Beirut, and the same type in Italy is today is quite common. The retail, especially electronic, is facing a big mess, because basically you are buying a lot on the internet. So they try to open a little shop where you go to test, just to have a kind of advisory on the product. And sometimes you go to pick up the product. So the retail is facing a big issue. And on the other side, the office, this is a big question mark. I don't have really a clear idea. We manage some office buildings, so I tell you, still the agreements are there and the people are paying, but are not used. I don't know for how long they cannot be used and pay for anything. So my opinion is that also the office will be changed a little bit, will be more flexible, something more similar to a co-working places, where almost nobody has his own desk, but is more a place where you meet. Sometimes also you have a conference, you have fun, you have what you miss in this new era is the connection with people. So the office is a place where basically you can have a connection. So that is my opinion.
But a question, Antonio, one more question. What about logistics and warehousing? Since we are talking about electronics and the online about the online shopping. Have you seen in Italy? Because in some countries, third world countries that had no online business at all, we see that there's a huge boom in logistics and warehousing, and funds are coming and investing to grow this business. What is the situation in Italy? Is there any interest in that kind of business? Is the logistics and warehousing growing?
It's the same. I follow very much the agriculture sector, and with this year, the biggest project is on what they call last mile, and the logistic of basically the proximity, and is growing, and the technology is make a very big process. So they make the possibility to have a huge warehouse almost completely automatic. So this changes totally the way to thinking. They are able to provide the product in 5 hours. Even complex, you can choose different products. They make the packages, they send, they deliver, they go to pick back. So the service is one of the main issue of this kind of business, and real estate is following, and there is a lot of investment in this side.
Even in luxury brands that you see in Milan, the big luxury brands now are delivering to your home luxury brands. Can we see that happening? People buying luxury brands online only?
I don't know. I follow one company on the luxury, and does not really make a very good moment. The luxury today, I mean, in my little experience, is not performing so well. For the little example that for 1 year you don't have time to go to make a party or to dress well, you stay at home. So the really luxury person, maybe yes, you can be a deliverer, but the amount of products has been a little bit affected. So is one of the business maybe that has been more affected in Italy. Maybe in the next year they will be recovering at all. But last years when you dress, you stay at home in pyjama for 1 year. It's not easy to dress with Armani or something similar.
Just to brief up about Italy, do you think it's the right moment to invest in hotels and tourism products in Italy now, Antonio? I think that the prices have dropped. As you said, they really dropped. But tourism will always be interesting in Italy, and people will come from all over the world to visit Italy. Do you think that because of the situation, as President Duello said a moment ago, you will still have funds coming and wanting to buy products in Italy or not?
We see a lot of interest, a huge amount of interest, especially in the hotel sector, a lot. Studying say that the sector will recover very soon and the market will be back soon. So the hotel sectors is in a good moment to invest, just basically because the price is down for a financial problem, but the products is very good. So we are working a lot in that sector. I have 3 people that do only hotels today.
Very nice. Thank you, Antonio. I'll go back to President
Thank
Duello.
you very much. Bye-bye. Thank you.
President Duello, tell me about the logistics and the warehousing in Spain. Is that a business that is interesting now? Because I've been following up that segment in many countries, and it's really booming. And even there's big funds buying warehousing and investing in logistics in order to prepare to profit from this new online habit. People are buying everything online. Nevertheless, I think that when we see back, when we remember that there's life again, then we can go shopping and enjoy walking on the streets. We will go buy again from the shops. But nowadays, online shopping have increased in a very considerable way. So what do you think about that business and what's happening in Spain in this perspective?
One thing is what I'm thinking, another what happening. I've been 20 years in the food service, wholesaler food service, 25 years. 12 years, I've been a big boss in a big company, English company called Booker PLC, which is one of the best leaders in food service, in wholesaler business, cash and carries, etc. So what is the future of all that? It will be a long speech for Adam. But I'll answer to your question about the first is the main, at this moment, the main market in a real estate is reconstruction, rehabilitation. So Spain is one of the countries has more old buildings. I mean, most of the buildings are very old, very good, but very old. In some ranking, I saw that Spain is one of the first, the oldest real estate buildings. And a lot of money is coming from Europe, from the European community for this. So I've been speaking about 3 weeks ago, or 1 hour, with what we call Secretario General de Vivienda, which is the second important guy in the ministry, is the minister, and the second is the Secretario General. No? So I've been speaking with him. He is also architect, but is in this moment is political. And he said it's a lot of money coming and a lot of to do in rehabilitations. I mean, to rehabilitate an old flat, an old house, to make it new, reconstruction, and let's selling or let's something. This is what I think that then the next 5 years is going to be one of the very important niche, whole subsectors of real estate in Spain.
But what about the Ocupa? No, Ocupa, they say Ocupa.
Ocupa only affect really Barcelona area and some Catalonia. I mean, I'm the president of all Spain, and when I'm going to Madrid or Sevilla or Malaga, they laugh. They have no this problem. At the moment.
I did not know. I thought that it was in all Spain.
No. That's
only in
Barcelona shouts, no? Barcelona has no. The main is Catalonia, which because the Catalonia law, and because in the measure of the town hall of Barcelona is ex-Ocupa. I don't know if it's ex-Ocupa, but it's very friendly with them. So that is a very special problem we have with our measure, a special Ada Colau, which I think is her policy about the Ocupa could be very, 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 very social, but it's not the right one at this moment. But the thing is the problem of Ocupa is Barcelona area, etc., Catalonia. But when you go to Madrid, you go to Valencia, they don't have this problem yet. Okay.
So renovation is the future. Renovating buildings is the future of the real estate market in Spain. And to conclude, because they're giving me silence.
I need to answer. I'll be very short to answer.
Yeah, we need to conclude, and I want you to conclude with your perspective about the Spanish real estate market. What should an investor do if he wants to invest in the Spanish real estate market? How do you see it coming?
At the moment, I will say a big statement in logistical. I won't be advising that. But in retail, supermarkets, commercial centers, is doing a big change. I've been there 20 years. It's doing a big change. And I have 3 or 4 international investments. They asked me special to invest, to buy this type of buildings and to rent to these supermarket operators. Because it's changing a lot of habits, as you mentioned, a lot of habits to buy and buy online, no, and be very close, don't be in a big. But if we say logistical, we are speaking about to rent or to buy for rent a big industrial statement, in what we call polígonos industriales. Very, 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 very low business at this moment. And also the commercial locals. I mean, this moment, with all what happened, Barcelona, more than 30% are empty. So at this moment is not for logistical, very, very careful, but for other areas, very good. I mean, if there is a transversal business, there are about 10 different things. There are 3 or 4 going up very, very good, and 3 or 4 normal, and 3 or 4 very down. So one of the, I mentioned 2 or 3 up, but logistical and retail. Retail will be investment retail in the middle, and logistical areas, industrial buildings will be very low.
Great. It was a great pleasure, and we will continue talking about Spain in other occasions, and together as well, we will be in this new Mediterranean commission with Ascame, because as we've said before, we are united by this gorgeous sea, and we have common cultural backgrounds and a lot of interest between us. So hand by hand, we are going to continue our mission into the real estate business, but now in the Mediterranean Sea. So thank you, President Gerald Duerio. It was a pleasure, and see you very soon. Thank you.
Thank you, Walid.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your valuable contribution, sharing also the market overview, opportunities, challenges, and new trends due to the COVID-19 context. It was really a great pleasure to count on your participation. Thank you very much. Now I would like to give the floor to Mr. Juan Carlos Led, CEO of the ABC Realty Barcelona, who will guide us during this second session, which is the Euro-Mediterranean Gulf region real estate cooperation post-COVID-19. Thank you very much, and it's a great pleasure to count on your participation. The floor is yours, Juan Carlos. Thank you very much, and welcome. I think that we are facing some technical problems. Okay, we will try to solve it. Okay.
I think that you can hear me.
Yes, now it works. Thank you very much, Juan Carlos. Welcome.
So, what about the image? I don't know if you can.
The camera.
The camera is on for me, but not for the session. Sorry about this.
No worries.
I don't know what's happening. I can see my face, but you cannot.
Okay. Maybe it's something related to the permission. Yes, now we can see you. Now it works. Works properly. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Juan Carlos. The floor is yours.
Okay, thank you very much. Congratulations, and thanks to the organization, to Ascame, also to FIACFI and the Chamber of Commerce Barcelona for this event and this webinar meeting that we are running this afternoon. So this is the second session from today. This session, as you told us, is European Mediterranean Gulf region real estate cooperation. We will mainly focus in opportunities in Europe, in the Mediterranean area, and also in the Gulf region, while the urban planning and infrastructure sessions would be focusing mainly in the UA, in the Common Union, and also in all those Mediterranean and Gulf areas, countries, and opportunities, real estate opportunities that we can have. Okay. We will have several and really important speakers in this session. I will start introducing them in the order that we know we have in our session. First of all, Mr. Aref Herres, President of BAPDA, Bahrain Property Development Association. So whenever you want, I can give you the opportunity of starting. I think that I can open your microphone. So I give you the opportunity of picking. I don't know why. What's the problem with this? Okay, so Mr. Herres, can you start speaking? Do you already have the opportunity of start speaking?
Okay.
Oh, yes, we can hear you.
Good afternoon,
Perfect. Thank you.
everyone. But I can't see myself. I can only see you. I don't see the rest. So, this is okay?
Well, if you can try to put the camera on, it will be
course.
perfect for us. And
Okay.
hey, perfecto. Here you are.
I can see myself now.
Yes, I can see you. Thank you very much for you being here, for sharing with us all your knowledge and all the opportunities that you can speak with and introduce to us. And as you know, we have a little time for each other. It's in between 10 and 15 minutes, no longer. And so it's your time. Thank you very much. And let's hear about your opportunities.
First, I would like to welcome everyone in this forum. I'm glad to be with you all. I'll give you a briefing about BABDA. I think this is the first real estate property development association. We have two associations in Bahrain. One belongs to the real estate agent, and the other one, which I represent, belong to the developers. It was established in 2010, representing all the developers, and we have around 27, the biggest 27 developers in Bahrain, representing all type of developers, what is residential, commercial, hospitality. I think we played a big role here in shaping the roles, the regulations and the rules of the industry, and we are part of RERA, which is the partnership between the public sector and the private sector. It's been very, I would say, it's a great marriage between the two sectors. About the real estate in Bahrain, it's been changing a lot from 2006 to today. It was previously going in the high-end products, luxury. Recent years, after 2008, it went more into the affordable. The good thing, Bahrain market has real project and real demand. We don't have much demand from outside Bahrain. Mostly it's the local demand. Yet we have some people from GCC buying second homes here in Bahrain, mostly from Saudi Arabia, being close by. It's like 30 minutes drive. We have from Kuwait and from other GCC. With the market went slow, but still there was the local demand for the social housing and the affordable housing, and we have a long list in the Ministry of Housing to provide homes to the locals. So that helped the market a lot. So market never stopped. There was always a project, but the project has been changed. With the pandemic, we have seen lots of the seafront product or units went up because everybody can't go to work. So they brought the houses on the beach, on the water. Prices went up again. The market has been affected, yes, because again, we depend a lot on the Saudi market for the tourism. With the causeway being closed for the first time in many years, or since they opened, I think they're the first time. So that affected the retail sector a lot. We at BABDA came with some initiative. We give it to the government to incentivize the market. We give them 7 initiatives. One of them is reducing the fees, reducing the VAT, reducing electricity and water. We have a long list also for the expats. There is lots of people who want to settle in Bahrain, being, I think, small and beautiful. But with the laws for the residence laws, previously you get only 2 years resident permit if you buy an apartment to be renewed. Now we're trying to make it for 10 years. Another thing, unfortunately, the expat here, they cannot take a loan for if they want to buy a house or an apartment. Only locals and GCC people can buy through the bank. So we're trying to open that sector, which will create big demand. This is it, I think, from now, and I will be more open for any questions later on. I'll give the floor to my colleagues.
Okay, so well, thank you very much for your explanation. Well, as far as I understand, so because of about the COVID release slow a little your market, but the market will be helped with the social and local housing, but also now to the tourists that you have, depending with this Saudi market for tourists, also not only for the new housing or touristic housing, also for the commercial and marketing and market and all those things. And you are also focused to expatriados, so those people that came from abroad and wants to live here. But the difficulty for selling houses to of those is that the banks are not giving us to the foreign people loans, so they must pay or cash or bring the money from abroad. We'll be trying to have some questions specific at the end after our next speakers that is also with us is Antoine Assi, a chairman of Estia Developments from Greece. Thank you very much for joining us here in this conference, in this meeting that we have here, and trying to learn a lot about your experience and your local market. So you have speaking word, so you can start whenever you want.
I would like to thank the organizers of the forum. I believe that it's a great platform and initiative that is well needed in these challenging and interesting times. So I will start by giving an outline of the Greek economy, the crisis, the recovery, and the future.
Okay.
So the IMF forecast growth for 2021 was 3.8, and for 2022 it was 5%. So I believe that Greece had done an amazing job during the pandemic, and I will describe it in a little bit later and explain about what was done, how they did it, and the results that are clearly effective. So just to give you a small brief, that the population of Greece is 10.72 million. It's a small country in terms of population, but it's a large country in terms of territory. Greece has around 6,000 islands, and you can imagine that every island is a different country. So the inflation rate in 2019, we had minus 0.2%, and it's projected to be plus 0.6 in 2022. So as you know, during the crisis, the unemployment rate went to 27%, and in the past year, it went down to 16%, which was amazing during these hard times. So the two main drivers of the recovery, the COVID-19 recovery, is the government. The government has done an incredible job. Stimulus after stimulus, it had a positive impulse of 1.4% on the GDP. Banks have documented an increase in retail savings, and digital spending, which led to credit expansion in 2020. So what we saw in Greece in 2020 and 2021, they started to open up on loans. In the past 6-7 years, there was no more loans in Greece. And as you know, when you have no loans, you have no real estate. So what they've done an incredible job in recapitalizing the banks. So now the banks opened up during COVID for housing loans and all kinds of loans that will reboost the economy. We can say that tourism was good even during COVID. We had a positive push of 1.8 basic point on the GDP due to tourism. Greece vaccination program is effective. As of today, we have 38.2% vaccinated in one dose, and fully vaccinated, we had 23.4%. We are ramping up the vaccination, and I believe by end of July, we will have a very positive news and nearly no more deaths, daily deaths by the end of July. That's our prediction. So the government fiscal package that was 24 billion, 14% of GDP, financed by national and EU resources, and the inclusion of Greek government bonds in the ECB pandemic emergency purchase program helped offset the short-term economic concern. In addition, the recently agreed recovery and resilience facility will help Greece recovery through a combination of EU grants and loans. So Greece recently announced a very ambitious 57 billion recovery program. They call it Greece 2.0. It's promising to remake the Greek economy through investment in clean energy, digital transformation, education, social services, and real estate. So that's grosso modo what's happening. Now, in the Greek real estate market, which is why we're here today, we have to know that Greece suffered an incredible crisis in 2018. The country had over 400 billions in debts. They defaulted. There were a lot of issues between 2008 and 2015. So there was a major slowdown. The recovery of the residential property market started in 2019 after experiencing a drop of 54% from 2009 to 2016. So in 2018, price started an upward trend due to the influx of clients from all around the world, following a marginal decline in 2017 and a moderate growth in 1.8% in 2018. So we had a very sharp drop. 2017, the recovery started, and we've seen an influx of people wanting to invest in Greece. Not only people or a retail client came to Greece, but a lot of funds. The NPL, which is the non-performing loans of the banks, and they were the main issue that led to the crisis, they shrunk by 40% in 5 years. We saw a lot of private equity funds such as Bain, Apollo, Fortress, Centbridge, Elliott, and others investing over 10 billion to acquire and set up a management platform to, let's say, to resolve the banking problems. So these people, they were buying 20 cents on the dollar on average. According to the data for 2019 foreign direct investment, these are the people that bought apartments for golden visas, that invested in buying shops, etc. These people invested 1.5 billion in the economy, 28% up from 2018. This increase of foreign direct investment inflows over the past couple of years can be attributed to the success of the Golden Visa program for non-EU resident and the development of the short-term rental market, mainly in Athens and touristic region. You have to know that in Greece, prices went down at some point to 200-300 euros per square meter in the capital. So when people and the bargain hunters learned about this, you cannot imagine the influx of clients we've seen from corporate or private or family offices, you name it, we've seen it all. So due to the fact that real estate investment in Greece is a multi-dimension investment, which means that the client purchases an apartment for 250,000, not only he receives a golden visa, but he considers it as a financial investment opportunity, since the apartment short-term and long-term rentals can fetch up to 8% in Athens. Airbnb is doing amazingly well in Athens, and people will get the golden visa. They can use the apartment whenever they come to Athens. We can block the apartment for them for private use, and we can rent it for short-term or medium use. So that gives the clients the opportunity to remove money from the bank where they're getting nothing or 1% interest, to receive 7-8% income and secure their families with a golden visa. We at SDA Development, we have helped over 2,000 people from around the world in receiving their Greek golden visas and manage their properties and optimize their rental returns. And this is a reason of our success, that you don't just buy an investment and we just forget you. No, we are here, you buy the property, we manage it for you, and then we make sure that you get decent returns as long as you're holding the property, which is actually needed for the golden visa. Now I'll give you some Greek real estate market in numbers. Greek residential property prices, they fell 47%, and the housing market starting to recover in 2018. So the price per square meter went down to 200-300 euros per square meter back in...
The sound goes down, how much, excuse me?
During the crisis, we sold 200-300 euro per square meter. And now during the recovery, in some places we are seeing 30,000 square meter.
Okay.
So you can imagine the difference, because in Greece, there's a big gap between the lower income and the really high income. So you can say that the foreign buyers, they account for 20% of the real estate transactions, and mainly they come from Turkey, Lebanon, United States, China, Russia, Egypt, and so on. Construction activity remains robust despite the pandemic. During the first 9 months of 2020, we saw a 15% increase in the number of permits. We as a group, we have a total pipeline of 600 units now in construction, over 60 projects ongoing. We as a group try to avoid for construction island destinations, because the client that's going to buy an apartment and we're going to rent it out for him and get him an income, if he does that on the island, it wouldn't make sense. He will be receiving only 2-3 months of tourists, while in Athens we get 12 months of tourists. And that's very important, and that's why I'll discuss a little bit about the tourism industry in Greece. We can say that it was the most resilient factor during the recession. It balanced the unemployment rate, so we had a crazy recession, but you couldn't recruit any employees in hospitality. And you will understand that from the increase of tourists. In the past few years, we had 12 million tourists only per year, and it went up to 38 million tourists. And that's why, as a group, we decided to develop 20 hotels in Athens. So tourism contributed directly to the creation of 11.7% of the country's GDP and 16.7% of employment during the peak season. Here in Greece, a lot of employees, they only work 3-4 months in the summer, and then they come back to Athens. They live from the summer proceeds year long. And these people, they work in the hotel industries, in the yachting industries, and other touristic industries.
So I think that real estate is really focused to this touristic, and you focus also in Golden Visa. Yes. Thank you very much. We don't have much time because we need to introduce other speakers, also important, and we will let some questions to the end of the session. Excellent. Hopefully with the time that the rest of the speakers is giving to us. So Thank you very much. Thank you very much
My
for
pleasure.
your explanation, because you really structure all the conversation. So we are really clear what's the main headlines for us in real estate and investment and how.
That's the purpose. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Our next speaker, Ms. Siham Ol-Harthi, she is the ex-General Director, Ministry of Housing in Oman, and is partner and CEO in Osaver Real Estate. Thank you very much. I know I can hear you. I can see you and hear you. Are you available now?
Yes, well,
okay,
thank you very
now,
much.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I was there all the time, and it was actually a very nice session, a lot of information, and this makes us really positive in the real estate future. I hope so. And I'm willing to share some information about Oman and the Gulf.
Okay, so you can start. Do you have some information, some explanation for us from Oman, how to introduce your country, your real estate, how is the market, and how do you see the opportunities in the future?
Well, Oman is, of course, one of the Gulf countries. We have, we are not really a big population. We are 4.5 million of people located in 309,000 kilometers, but we have a stretch coastline of 1,700, which make it really good opportunities for people from Oman and from outside Oman to come and invest and have their second home. I was General Director for Real Estate Development in the Ministry of Housing for almost 8 years past, and I know that a lot of people from all over the world, when they come as a tourist in Oman, they are willing to invest and buy a second home. Actually, our rules were not really flexible in that, and we have only the tourism areas or zones which is available for foreigners to own. But now the government actually is pushing into changing this kind of rules into more flexibility for foreigners to own in Oman and start even businesses and have visas for a longer period. And this, of course, will support the real estate market and with other incentives that the government now willing to start as well, like offering plots for development in different sectors, renewable energy, agriculture, many other sectors, which of course, you know, the real estate will be affected by this. People will come, the job opportunities will be available, and this will increase the need for having more of residential and offices. And that's what we are actually doing now. The Omani real estate players in Oman are not really negative in this situation. The COVID, yes, we have a lot of people, mainly foreigners, because of less jobs, they went out to their countries, but still we have an opportunities that our market is a growing market, and this will of course increase the need for having more of developed places. The developers here are still within this pandemic, they are still developing. And now next week we are launching an office project which has around 500 offices and same number of retails in one of the prime locations, and we are selling it to Omanis and foreigners. And actually we have a lot of people who are already requested to buy. So I think we are doing well. And of course, with a lot of incentives from the government, this will a little bit cover the losses and the things which happened during the pandemic for this sector.
Okay, so you are doing well, and you think that the government is also giving you more strength for doing all this real estate investment, and this is the sector that you are also saying that maybe because of this large cost that you have is also something interesting and have a lot of opportunities. So we will have some time to ask you some questions. As you know, everyone that is also in this participating in this experience that we are having now with this webinar, with this session in Zoom, you can also ask some questions that we will try to ask to the speakers at the end of the session. So please don't hesitate to try to ask your questions. Okay.
Sure.
Thank you very much. At the end of, we will continue with you. We will have our crossing speaking and experiences, but let's continue with the next speaker, Karim Amous, CEO of Smarteco from Tunisia, from Tunis. Thank you very much for being with us and trying to join your experiences and the opportunities that you can bring to us in this Zoom or this scenario that we have in this European Mediterranean Gulf region meeting that we have. Can you hear us? You can start with speaking.
It's okay. You can hear me?
We can hear you and we can see you. Thank you very much for participating in this forum. It's your time. Whenever you want, you can start.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I would like to thank the organizers for these invitations. I'm really honored to participate for the second time in this panel. And I would like to wish a speedy recovery to Mr. Fahmy Shaban, which is affected by COVID. And I hope better health for every person hearing you and for our families. So today I have a bigger responsibility because I would like to represent or to sell the Tunisian destination and give more information about investment in Tunisian real estate market. As you know, after the COVID problems, many countries are affected. So there is a big crisis in real estate market in Tunisia. The selling market is dropped, but not the prices. As you know, when there are some crises, we can find good opportunities. So I would like today to share with you a good opportunity I discovered. Yes, I discovered this year after the COVID. As we are established in Tunisia, our headquarters is established in Tunisia. We created our subsidiary in Paris in the beginning of this year. So we had faced a big problem when we tried to buy a building in which we can work in Paris. Prices are so high. They about 12,000 euros by square meter, and it is about 15 times more big than in Tunisia. So in Tunisia, in the affair department, we can have property for 800 euros the square meter. So if we can talk about the rental value of the square meter in Tunisia and in Paris we can have rental value of about 30 euro by square meter per month. In Tunisia, the rental value is about €6. So if we have the calculation of the return on investment, in Paris, we can have about 3% per year of the total investment. And in Tunisia, we can have 9%. So we can have 3 times more return on investment if we invest in real estate in Tunisia. This is a good opportunity because, as you know, the Tunisian government is offering many incentives to investors, to foreign investors who would like to invest in Tunisia or to buy buildings or create companies. Since the creation of Smartico Group 10 years ago.
You say that the government is giving us some benefits, but it's also for foreigners or also for locals that do
it's for foreigners because they are encouraging foreign investors to come to Tunisia and to invest by foreign currencies. This is a good thing for you, not for Tunisian persons, but it is a very good opportunity for you. So since the creation of Smartico 10 years ago, we assisted many foreign persons to invest in Tunisia, and they had their incentives. They are very happy to invest and to buy and to live essentially in Tunisia. The living cost in Tunisia is dropped because of the big differences between the values of Tunisian dinar and the euro or the USD. Also, we are encouraging actually the alternative tourism, which is a good opportunity for investors. Especially the silver economy, the seniors.
Absolutely.
Yeah. For example, someone who is retired, he is living in Paris. He can sell his building in Paris and come to Tunisia. He can have a bigger home. He can save more money, and he can live better. Other thing, in one of our subsidiaries in Smartico Group, which is LightMind, we launched this year an application helping French persons who are having their buildings in France to manage their buildings when they are not in their home. So someone who is coming in Tunisia to stay for one month, 6 months, 1 year, etc. We can, via our application, manage his home and give him all the rental revenues that will give him better revenues and better things. The second thing is the problem that can be faced, for example, by the investors. When, for example, an European citizen is coming to invest in Tunisia, the first thing, if he wants to have a loan to
loan, yeah.
Yes, they will ask for the mortgage. So this is the first problem they are facing. So we are trying to solve this problem via our fund. We are closing now the Smart Invest Fund, and our bankers, the partners in banks we have actually. The third problems we are resolved also is the authorization of the government, because years ago we have a foreign investor. If he want to buy a home, he have to obtain the authorization of the government. Actually, he is not demanded, so he is free to buy any building he wants. So this is the opportunity I were trying to share.
So foreign people don't need the governmental agreement or authority to buy
Yeah.
the apartment. Okay.
Yes.
Do you finish?
I have many information, so I don't want to talk very much. I just had this opportunity to share with you this experience, and I would like really, as I told you, I would like to sell the Tunisian destination, and I hope those incentives can encourage Europeans to come to invest in Tunisia very soon.
Okay, so if you finish, we finished with all the speakers. So now we can start with some of the questions that someone can ask you. But I have some of them, and we can start with you because you are the latest, and we have the
welcome
with us. So and we have you here. So, well, first of all, you are really connected with the French market. You are always comparing, so that's nice. I've been in Tunisia, so I like it really very much. You have a large and big history and monuments, so it's nice to be, and also the beaches and the resorts are really nice.
Thank you.
No, thank you.
Welcome.
You preserve all those things. So, for me, well, what are really the benefits that the government is giving to all those foreigners that you are saying for investing in Tunisia? Is something related with the golden visa, or is larger than this? You spoke about the senior housing. So there is a program from the government that tried to attract these senior people coming from Europe and living there for a long period of time, like 6 months or longer?
Okay, thank you for the question. In fact, the government is not giving a whole program that can help these persons to come. But our role as private company is to find the best practices and the best way to advise our customer from Europe to come and to invest in a legal way and to optimize their revenues. So, for example, for senior persons, we are actually preparing a big project in which those persons can come and participate in a company with buying their chairs. So if this person is buying the chairs, he's an investor. So it's not, he will have a part of the hotel, of a part of the houses we will build. Okay, you can see the nuance.
Yeah, the difference.
It is okay.
How to invest, and you provide different ways of investment.
Yes.
And also,
so when they are investing in a company, the incentives are provided to investors in companies, not in buying a home or buying apartment or something. So the incentive must be incorporated in a total project, and this is the way we are trying actually to convince our customer to participate and to come to invest in Tunisia. And they will give them the more flexibility if they want to go abroad or to sell their shares, so they can sell the shares. Is better to sell a home after that.
Oh, I see. Maybe it's easily to move the money. And why the number of transactions is lower and the prices is not dropping?
Okay, so because many persons, the builders are taking loans to build their projects. So the cost is very high, and they cannot minimize their prices, because if they will do, they will lose very much money. actually, as I told you, the market is decreasing because about 16 or 17% of the building are inoccupied. Okay, 42% of them are then less than 100 square meters. So this is not as important because the property or the real estate market in Tunisia is very developed, and the Libyan market actually is opened. So they are coming to invest in Tunisia. This is
do you think that's the question? And the prices will start and continue going up, not dropping, established, or going up?
They are in the same level. Perhaps it will increase very soon.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
I also mentioned some, I marked some questions for Oman, for Shiham. Is there an opportunity to have a residency when buying or doing a real estate investment in Oman? So do we have an opportunity, residence in there or not?
Of course, there is a big opportunity. Actually, we are now having a good strategy of bringing more investors from outside of Oman, and a lot of incentives that the government together with the private sector are working in. And from today, if you are willing, I can guide you from tomorrow to have a resident here in Oman and have you here.
But it's something easy. So you mean that it's something that you are willing and you're expecting coming money there to buy, and is something that is easily for Europeans. It's better if you are from another close area countries, or?
Actually, the Gulf countries will be treated as Omanis. We have an agreement in that. So people from Saudi Arabia, Bahrain, Kuwait, Qatar, United Arab Emirates are treated as Omanis when they invest and when they buy. Other countries, they have zones, which we call it tourism zones, where they have residential, commercial, and hotels as well. If they want to own in that areas, it's very possible. And by the way, these zones are actually the prime locations which Omanis will prefer to live in as well. So the foreigners actually are getting the best of the best from these places.
So now we want to go there. What do you recommend us? Which is the best real estate section for us to invest in Oman? Residential, logistic, hotel, something touristic, retail? What do you prefer? Your opinion?
If you are an investor who are willing to invest in a bigger project, you can have a multi-purpose. The government actually in this kind of project give you the land with a very minimum charges, and it will be a partnership between the investor and the government to develop this plot, which is actually the cost of this plot will be really expensive because it's in the beach, it's in a prime location, where the developer can sell it in a very good prices and benefit from that. If you are an investor who wants to buy a plot, to buy a house or apartment or offices, of course, I will advise you to have a second home in Oman. It's a reasonable prices. Even here in Oman, we categorize the tourism zones as a little bit expensive from the affordable housing in different areas, but it is because of the location got that price.
But also it's something that we hear from Tunisia, and also we heard from Greece that they spoke about this, the possibility of having, using you from some periods of time, the house for your own, and then you can leave the rest of the year to be rented and have a good opportunity to have this rental, and the income will cover a good benefit for you. And also the rentals are also increasing. I think that those things are the one that all investors want. But when you buy an apartment, but if you want to invest a lot of money, residentially is going to be the best, because you see, as you say, the places, the plots of land are in front of the sea, or maybe because there's a lack of retail, maybe construction, a big mall or something related with the commercial or with adventure cinemas or whatever will be better. What do you think?
Of course, investing in commercial is much, much better and much benefit from residential. But still, there is also a need for the residential if you want. By the way, if you have invested in a resident or in a house and you have a good agent, he can rent the whole year and take care of your apartment or your villa during your not availability. And this can be done also through the developer of the land that you have a plot, if you have a apartment or a house in it. But of course, the best is to invest in commercial,
okay,
because the rents are more and the revenue is more.
The revenue is better. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you very much. So next question for Antoine. I'm going up. So now let's talk about Greece. You explain us about the golden visa. How is your program? Still is working? There's a lot of people coming to asking you for this golden visa from Europe or other countries?
It's actually from people outside Europe, because golden visa, with a golden visa, you become a permanent resident of Europe. So we had a lot of requests in the coming year. We have done over 150 golden visa as a company. When you have a government supporting you, like the government of Greece, everything is easy. They have passed a law that you can sign in the consulate via a POA any purchase of real estate. You can complete your real estate purchase.
Is there the amount of money that you must invest, or any?
Yes, it's 250K. You need to invest 250,000 euro, and the procedure is really simple. You just go to the Greek consulate, wherever you are, you sign a power of attorney to Estia Developments, and then we handle everything for you, and you will be able to enter Europe. And what's weird, we had requests from Monaco. Let me tell you why. Some countries have bilateral agreements with Monaco, for example, so that these nationals can stay in these countries. But during pandemics, everything got lifted. The laws changed. The tourism visa was not effective anymore. The Schengen visa was not effective anymore. Every country has its own rules. It was the jungle. So as Estia Group, we were able to regulate that by providing all these clients European golden visas. They didn't have to come because here you had another problem, which is the chicken or the egg or the chicken. Okay, the guy needs a golden visa to come to Greece. In order to get this golden visa, he needs to come to Greece, but he cannot come to Greece because there is a ban and there's restriction. So there it was sourced by the power of attorney, and we've done everything remotely for all these clients, and they could come to Greece now and live happily ever after.
Okay, but I know that that's a big interest. Europeans coming there, I don't know, Germany, English, French.
Yes, you should know that Germans are big investors.
You have a different treatment in between this, because we are not going to obtain the resident because we are from Europe. But yes, what's the difference in between buying if you are coming from the UAE and the golden visa ones?
Yes,
so
let me clarify here. The people, EU nationals that want to move to Greece, they're moving because it's a cheaper way. It's a cheaper lifestyle. You get more services. you're well served, you're pampered at a low cost. To give you a small example, if you live in Germany, for example, you cannot rent a flat for 300 euros in the center or 400 euros and live going to the beach, to the best beaches that are 5 minutes away, spend 4 euros of taxi to go there. So imagine a French guy or a German guy, when he sees these prices and he comes to Greece, he will say, no way, my retirement plan will last for 3 retirements. Whereas if he stays in Paris, he has to.
And I heard from you that Airbnb is well known and well seen there, because as you know, in Barcelona, we are fighting against Airbnb because it's like there's a lot of tourists. So, but it's also is a good way to obtain these rentabilities.
It's very what you're saying happened in Greece. We had a big problem of long-term rentals versus Airbnb. And in some points, there was no more place for the Greek nationals to live in the center anymore because of these Airbnb's developments. So what we did as a group, since we have over 2,000 units, we have removed 1,000 units from the Airbnb market, and we gave them for long-term rentals, mostly for Greeks. And it was a great move strategically, and it happened just before COVID. So we were happy during COVID, we were getting long-term rentals. We were getting midterm rentals, which are corporate and non-corporate clients. So we diversified our rental portfolio to have long, short, and medium rentals, either Greeks or international. That's how we managed to pass the crisis in a good way.
So you advanced, you introduced before, and you're really smart because you know the market and you can see before things could happen. So thank you.
We try.
Well, let's continue with Bahrain, Mr. Aref. I have asked a question. Who are the main buyers in Bahrain, and what the percent represents the Saudis buyers from the total transactions? I mean, the one that is nearby area or the foreigners? Hola, hello. Oh, what about your micro? Is I don't know if he can hear us.
Yeah, I can hear.
Perfect.
Muted. I did not hear the first part, but I've heard the second part.
Okay, I repeat it. So, who are the main buyers in Bahrain, and what percentage of these main buyers from foreign buyers coming from Saudi from the total transaction?
Well, I would
more or less.
I would say 65% of the buyers are locals, maybe 15% or 15 to 20% Saudis, Kuwaitis, and other will be again the same, around 15%. We don't have European or much European, I would say, because unfortunately we are not good at marketing or creating stories or a PR. I think we need to make our. I'm sorry, just need to fix my camera. You just allow me. So I think we need to create more of awareness for the international buyers, people who come to Bahrain, especially the European who works in Bahrain. Once they have a taste of Bahrain, they would love to stay and retire here.
So we are allowed, foreign from we are allowed to invest in Bahrain.
Yes, foreign companies. We have 100% ownership. Foreign companies can have 100% ownership here in Bahrain at 95% of the activities.
Okay, and what about individuals, not companies? So if I want to buy an apartment there, can I go there? And what about the credit, the loans or bank facilities? Do we have it there?
Unfortunately, no bank facilities, but you can buy. And this is, I think, what we are trying at Babda to work with the government and with the central bank to do. once they open this, I think we will have a huge demand. This is number one. Yeah, and I wanted to say something, and I want to thank the organizer for this opportunities, but I hope we don't leave this today and we meet next year. I'd like to suggest something that we can have some partnership together, some project together. So we'd like to share the contacts or do some sort of WhatsApp group for any opportunities in any countries. We share a project, we share opportunities. I've seen lots of opportunities as some of the speakers talk, and like Greece and Tunisia. We would like to keep in touch and follow up with those opportunities. But with 1 year meeting, I think it is a good thing. But on the other hand, we would like to do some business with some of the speakers. I don't know how can we do this, whether by share information, share project, have some WhatsApp group, or I don't know. I'm just suggesting that we keep in touch and we do business together. This is a great platform to do business together. Especially, I think what makes the Gulf, I'll talk about the Gulf generally, I think it's the yield. We have high return on investment. On residential, we make 5% to 8%, and commercial, we make 7% to 12%. And this is the highest, I think, on the international level, I think. And we are seeking opportunities. If there is an opportunity in Greece and Tunisia and Oman, we have the appetite to work together with good companies internationally. And I think this is today's forum is a good platform for this. But I'm requesting the organizer to put one more effort to link us together on, let's say,
we will try. Of course, we will try to link together to do all those businesses. And think also in Spain, we have a big country, we have a lot of coast, we have a sunny country, good lunches and wine, or different kind of eating programs that we have here. But also, we don't know.
Unfortunately, we don't know what these opportunities. So I'm trying to find a way that everybody put his opportunities and we do business together.
Okay, we will. But what about if we want a senior coming to there? Are we going to get our residential like a golden visa or not?
In Bahrain now, we have an investor's visa, which is it's been for some time. It's only 2 years to be renewal. We're trying to make it a golden, which will be for 10 years.
Okay, so we have like a program for 2 plus 10 years after.
The existing one is 2 years. If you buy any apartment worth of $150, you get a 2 years residence permit to be renewed every 2 years. What we're trying to do at Babda now, we make it 10 years.
Okay, so thank you very much. I'm really happy that we could lead and we can spoke with you all this time in this seminar, but we don't have much time. So, and there's a lot, our third session coming behind us. So we will connect it, don't worry. We will in touch and we will have other sessions next year, but let's hear about the next speakers and the next session. Thank you very much for you. Thank you very much for the organization. Thank you, Anna. You lead now, and the next speakers will lead us. Thank you. See you soon.
Thank you so
much.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for such interesting contributions on investment trends and also on foreign investment attraction. All right, the market overview, the job creation potential, and the interrelations with also the tourism sector in the whole region. It was a great pleasure to count on your participation. And now moving to the third session, which is the next resetting of real estate, sustainability, and technology. I would like to give the floor to Mr. Daniel Grossenbacher, World President of the International Real Estate Federation during 2015 and 2016, who will guide us during this third session. Thank you very much, Daniel. It's a pleasure also to count on your participation, and the floor is yours. Thank you very much.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us. And this is the last session, so we'll try to be on time. My name is Grossenbacher, so I'm like a Swiss clock. I want to thank first Walid Moussa, who is the president of FIAPSI Arabic countries, for organizing the leaders of the region for a better, closer cooperation. I wish you, I see from the discussions that this will happen. And I congratulate you, and I think it's very, very important to work closer together, especially after these times of pandemic. Today we will actually discuss the results on housing and urban planning of the COVID-19. We had several transformations during these times, things that we did not expect. Some people left the high density cities, trying to find affordable housing elsewhere in smaller cities. A lot of people work from home. Some love it, some don't. But I think working from home is probably here to stay, and I will be happy to hear your comments on that. So I think the real estate industry, construction, whether for housing or also for business, will be different. You know, I see that hotels are being transformed in co-working space, in affordable housing in some other cities, in shelter for the homeless people. So there's a lot of opportunities, and I see that companies are reducing the space they're taking. They really want to use the minimal space, but have meetings rooms, sometimes just renting it by the week or by the month. So I'm looking forward to get your opinion on how COVID-19 has changed the real estate world. And we have 4 fantastic panelists today. We're going to start with Joan Claus, who's very, very experienced at all levels of government. Actually, I met Joan Claus in New York City during his term as his 2 terms as executive director of UN Habitat. And then I met him again in Quito when he was presiding Habitat 3 in October 2016. And he's actually written a good part of the new urban agenda. So I hope, Joan, that you can speak about it today, but I want to mention something very important. I learned in your bio that you're a medical doctor, specialized in epidemiology. I mean, is there a better panelist than that? And you've actually reached all levels of government. You started at the level of deputy director of public health in Barcelona. Then you were in the mayor's office, and then you were elected twice as mayor of Barcelona. Then you were ambassador for Spain. Then you were also a minister of, I believe, of industry and technology in Spain. Then you were appointed at the UN. I mean, it's endless. And you have earned several medals. One of them is a medal from the British architects for transforming Barcelona while you were deputy mayor. You had a project called Barcelona 22. So I let you speak because you have a lot to tell us. Welcome.
Okay. Thank you very much, Danielle. It's a pleasure to encounter you again in this scenario. Just to center a little bit the issue on the expected effects of the COVID-19 in the urbanization process. I think that COVID-19 is not going to impact very much the urbanization stance. Perhaps there are going to be, some corrections, but I don't see much changes of big issues or of big strategies, because what is quite obvious is that in the current, economic model in our society, urbanization, it's extremely productive in terms of productivity, and therefore the reasons why the urbanization process is so successful worldwide, because by now we have nearly 60% of the world population already living in cities, is because the city itself, it's a factor, it's a factory of value. The city generates value, and therefore the city attracts investment, the city attracts talent, and of course we now with the COVID-19 we are having an impact on the world economy, but it's not the first time that the world population has an epidemic. We have had many epidemics in the past in our common history. In none of the previous epidemics the city has been affected. In fact, in all of the epidemics, the city has been, reaffirming itself as the future, as the better way to organize a human society, the most efficient and the most productive. And I think that this is something that we need to take in mind. Even the Black Death or the European plague, which ended up with nearly 40% of the European population in the Middle Ages, didn't affect the future of urbanization in our continent. Therefore, similarly, I don't see that the COVID is going to alter very much the urban life. One thing that a lot of people is proposing is that with new technologies and telecommunication technologies and internet and this kind of technology that we are now utilizing to meet ourselves, this is going to favor the decentralization or the sprawl of the city, the dilution of the city in its territory. I don't think so. And I have thought a lot about this question. I think that the COVID-19 has given a huge push to the use of telecommunications, and especially this kind of telecommunications that we are using now. But this would be added to the urban productivity. This is not going to be discounted or, or this is not going to diminish the value of the urbanization, because the value of urbanization is based on the economies of agglomeration or the economies of proximity. It depends on the proximity of the factors of production, and this is nothing that is going to be altered by the outcome of the COVID. Just the contrary, in fact. I think that we will, if we take seriously the issue of the climate change and the energy transition, the move to decarbonization in our economy, we are going to see new forms of urbanization, which will tend to be more dense than less dense. And this is paradoxical. There's a lot of people who know gets really shocked about this kind of previsions. But this is what I think it's going to happen. Then we have the rising issue of the increase of inequalities in our societies and in our cities. And we are seeing a bigger segregation or a bigger separation between the wealthy parts of the city and the poor parts of the city. And that is going to be an issue sooner or later. It's going to be an issue because probably the general aspiration of the population, it's, bit by bit or step by step to reach a more balanced society. It doesn't mean equal or even equalitarian, but more even, more balanced. And I think that this is something that we will need to address also in the planning and managing of the cities in the future. But I think that the positive factors of urban productivity are so huge, so important. Jeffrey West, quite a well-known physicist in California, has tried to measure that, to measure that. And he says that he esteems his guess is that the city is able to produce with a 20% more productivity efficiency than the low density areas, 20%, which is huge. And then there's a second factor which add together to this 20% and is the minor cost per capita of urban services in the city. The lighting, the drainage, or whatever urban service, when you have a dense area, the per capita cost diminish. And he says that this diminishing of the urban services costs adds another 10% to the productivity of the city. Therefore, the overall productivity of the urban space, if we are talking of densities of more than 150 to 100 inhabitants per hectare, not huge densities, not like New York or Hong Kong or London or Paris, but something on the vicinity of 200 inhabitants per hectare begins to produce economies of agglomeration. And I think that this is something that we are already seeing in a kind of natural form. Many intermediate cities in size of around 200 inhabitants per hectare are very wealthy now, are growing very well in a very sustainable manner. Therefore, I think that the future of urbanization, for the foreseeable future, in the long term, we don't know. But on the next 30, 40 years, I think that urbanization is going to go on. It will need to be better, more efficient, more, and probably more carefully managed in order to avoid the exacerbation of the inequalities. This is my opinion.
Well, thank you very much for this very positive vision. I like it very much. It seems like for 30 to 40 years we'll be fine, at least.
Yeah.
And also for mentioning that dense cities, contrary to the main opinion of people, are actually a place that is more productive and up to 30% more effective, actually, as you mentioned. So thank you very much for those comments. I will now ask Dr. Mahmoud Al-Burai from the United Arab Emirates and Dubai in particular to give us his views on the situation post-COVID. Dr. Mahmoud Al-Burai has actually occupied several positions. He's been head of MENA and I'm sorry, I'm on the wrong wrong CV here. I'm sorry. He has held several international positions in sustainability, actually, and he has a very nice presentation on sustainability and technology, which is exactly our topic. He was the global advisor to UN Cities program since 2014. He's a member of the and an advisor in the Committee of Affordable Housing of the World Economic Forum and a chairman at UN Global Compact in the United Arab Emirates. So he has wide experience with technology and sustainability. Welcome, Mahmoud, and we're here to hear your comments.
Oh, thank you so much, Danielle. Thank you, the organizers. And Ben, actually, when I saw that I have Dr. John with us in this panel, I said I want to find something that he will not cover, but unfortunately, I think I have one point. It's always a great pleasure to meet with you, Dr. Juan. We met several times, and I think when you talk about the way forward for real estate industry, I think what we learned from this crisis is that sustainability, resilience, technology are important pillars for building a more sustainable real estate market. If we talk about competitiveness, then we need to have a formula where we get sustainability, technology, and resilience. So just to go through it, I think the most important thing we learned from crisis is that we need to build back healthier communities and cities. So we should not do what we used to do pre-COVID, post-COVID. So we need to really look at, and we found it very clear, there is a very big link between us as humans and the cities where we live and the environment. So it impacts our health. So the way we need to build is we need to make sure that community, we build livable, we build sustainable, equitable, we build healthier cities, walkable cities, bikeable cities, greener cities, because this is at the end going to impact our health. And there's a lot of report that talks about this. So what kind of cities, healthy cities that have good quality of life, that is walkable, that is green, that is health supportive, and all these features of healthy cities we need to see. And it's a call for real industry to take this into account. A lot of research shows also that green buildings have better, and today we're great to have with us Mr. Asfour, who's expert in this field. The green building actually have been, with evidence, showed good health outcomes as opposed to traditional. So I think we need to focus post-COVID, and we started to see people actually want to live in bigger house, want to live in house with the greeneries, we start to see some of that direction. Research done by Harvard shows that cities with higher pollution rate actually had a higher rate of death in COVID. And I'm not sure how this can be validated, but there are a lot of research shows that cities with higher air pollution actually had worse situations when it comes to COVID. There may be some exception to this here and there, but I think definitely environment has a big role to play on the way that our future develop. What we like the most about COVID actually is owning back our streets. We've started to see a lot of activities in Europe and the US, and a lot of cities and countries where we started to rethink why we're building cities and what kind of cities we want to build. Are we building it for people or cars? So I think the policymakers have reached a conclusion that it's important to focus on cities for people. And by that, we need to relook at the space. We need to look at a lot of things. And Daniel said an important point. Work from home, it's there to continue, yes, and we will see adjustment in a lot of companies' policy, not as wide as it is now, but when things are back to normal, I think this flexibility will always be there. And we started to see digital infrastructure are important in cities to attract talents, to attract investment, and to build the future. 15-minute city, we started to hear a lot about 15-minute city. Everything is available for 15 minutes, and we're just putting upside down. And instead of focusing on cars, now we're focusing on walkability and cyclability. And here in the UAE, we launched our master plan of Dubai 2040, focusing on sustainability, walkability. In Saudi, announced there are a lot of changes in that direction, and we need to recognize this. Maybe not as fast as we expect, not as what we want, but at least it's happening and there is a buy-in. So if we build cities for cars and traffic, you get cars and traffic, and we build them for people and places, we will get people and place. These are the most important conclusion. Digital infrastructure is also important, and this differentiates winners from losers. Countries who managed to use digital infrastructure managed to function even when the lockdown was there. We used to have a real estate transaction of 200 million dirhams per day while the city is closed, because you have a digital infrastructure supporting such things. Klaus said, and a lot of actually reports shows that this is even going to be worse. What even is making it worse is a lot of students, 2/3 of students in school age don't have internet accessibility at their home. So what kind of generation? This will even widen the inequality with students having less accessibility to technology, adding a new 100 million new poor to urban spaces, as some of the reports were showing at the beginning of the crisis. Digital divide is a risk that the World Economic Forum has concluded in their report. So as I said, 2/3 of the students at the age of school have no accessibility to internet. Accessibility to technology is less in developing countries. So overall, what kind of globe post-COVID, we will see winners and losers. We will see people with advantages and less advantages. So we need to build back also more resilient. As I said, part of it is building resilient cities and building resilient real estate. If we talk about real estate, and how we can implement Sendai framework for resilience. This is my last slide, and actually it's based on our research here in Dubai. We think that the future cities, if we want to have real estate, how the real estate can help with more futuristic, sustainable competitiveness in the industry, we need to focus on quality of life. We need to focus on government intervention. We need to have economic sustainability, and we need to have market resilience. Of course, affordability comes under economic sustainability, just for the sake of presentation. But what delivery platforms we think we should have, we should involve stakeholders, we should have the right governance, we should have the innovation, all the way supporting the competitiveness vision of building post-COVID. Overall, I'm very optimistic that we learned a very big lesson. 3.3 million people dying wasn't a very easy lesson. I think with the pressure from stakeholders, with the government believing and buying in, we will definitely see differences in how we build and also reuse the space. I don't think we need so much of offices. We don't need so much of, we've seen schools close and we still having schools. So a lot of space, we need to rethink how we use it to rebuild better and healthier places. I would like to stop here and thank you so much for giving me this opportunity.
Well, thank you very much, Mahmoud. Frankly, I think you also gave us a very positive outlook on the cities of the future. I like the 15-minute city. I think this is a concept that is taking on all over the world. People now want to walk a lot more. And I think that's going to make the success of cities who can implement that. And of course, green cities is very important. I think lots of studies have shown that when people are in contact with nature, very close contact with nature, they are happier. And we couldn't have a better expert on actually this greening than Mohammed Aspour. And his goal has been always to green the cities. So Mr. S4 has actually many, many titles. And I think one of your major things right now is actually chairing the World GBC, MENA Regional Network, and the Jordan Green Building Council. You're based in Amman, you're still there?
Yes, I'm based in Amman, but my current title is I head both the Africa and the MENA regions at the World Green Building Council.
Okay, very good.
Excellent.
But you have actually developed several concepts, and you are an advisor to UNIDO, USAID, UNDP. You've been an advisor all over the world on greening cities. And I'd love to hear your comments on the future of green cities after COVID.
Okay, thanks a lot for giving me this opportunity. And I think after what Dr. Mahmoud mentioned, I have less to say. So that was a great segue into the topic. Now, it comes without saying, I believe, that the pandemic has changed not only the way we live, but also the way we perceive the world, the way we perceive office spaces, the way we perceive our homes, the way we perceive schools. I don't think the change is triggered only by the pandemic, but the pandemic broke the habit loop or the status quo and made us rethink the way we live and the impact we are creating in our world. I remember at the beginning of the pandemic, people started speaking about how nature was gradually coming closer to the city. Here, I used to, from my home, I would see birds that I had never seen before that were passing from Europe to Africa through Jordan, for example, just because there was less human activity, which tells us that we could live healthier, more sustainable lifestyles, and it is within reach. Nothing is impossible. I think from my side, for example, I haven't needed to work in an office for a while now. And I think many people in the world are in a similar situation. Now, as I mentioned, this is not just triggered by the pandemic, but by the fact that if we do not fully decarbonize the way we live, the way we work, the way we study, we will not be able to achieve the Paris Agreement objective of keeping the increase in temperature below 1.5 degrees. Now, from our side as the World Green Building Council, of course, for those who do not know, we're a network of about 70 green building councils within 70 or 69 countries around the world, 69 green building councils with about 36,000 members within the membership. We developed a strategy based on SDGs. So there were 3 different components. One, we believe that buildings need to lead to more climate action, so the decarbonization of the built environment. Then we need to have healthier buildings, and this is something that became very obvious during the pandemic. We realized that we spent about 90% of our time within buildings. At one stage, it became very dangerous just to go to a mall or to go to a hospital. It reminded us of a few facts that we needed to take into account. And the third is about resources and circularity. With a population that is approaching the 10 billion, it's impossible to continue doing things the way we did them in the past. And I just remembered what Mr. Juan mentioned in the beginning, that things will not change. I think it's not just about the pandemic, and maybe I agree with him in that, but I disagree that the cities have to adapt, because the circumstances have totally changed. When the plague in Europe or affected millions of people, the population of the world was a fraction of the population of the world today. So now we are guided by necessity. We need to change a lot of things in our lives. Now, there was a question about what's happening within the region. And I think one of the good examples that I was part of was a roadshow on advancing net zero buildings. We organized with Majd Al Futtaim, who are our regional partners, a company of about 50,000 employees that is based in Dubai. They were one of the first signatories for our net zero commitment. So they committed that by 2030, all the new buildings will be net zero carbon. And by 2050, all existing and new buildings will be net zero. So we had this roadshow whereby we visited a few countries, and we had pre-COVID, and we met with decision makers and private sector representatives. When we started talking about the concept of net zero buildings, many thought it was far-fetched, but after traveling to Kuwait, to Jordan, Lebanon, Kenya, Oman, and others within Egypt and others in the region, we started feeling that yes, it is possible. All it needs is some more creativity, and it needs more focus on important issues such as, for example, energy efficiency. We start with energy efficiency, then the remaining amount of energy needed could be sourced through renewable sources. So the thing is, technology, and this was another question, and sustainability go hand in hand. Even if you are to design a small village in Egypt, and I'm using an actual example here, you could use technology in building what might look like a very primitive building, but using energy modeling, using some techniques would reduce the amount of energy to the extent that will make even a rural village a net zero village. So technology and sustainability go hand in hand. And I think in the future, our cities will be totally different. This will raise a few questions in terms of privacy and many other issues, but I think we are well prepared. And I think we really need to start rethinking the way we build, the way we live, and the way we manage resources. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much. I think you mentioned some very important points. We need to rethink the buildings, the hospitals, the schools, the homes, the offices. Definitely the offices are moving almost first. I see that every day in New York.
Yes, if you allow me, I forgot one thing, which is extremely important to our discussion. Last year, during the pandemic, we launched our health and well-being guidelines. So within the built environment, focusing on three main areas. Do I have just 3 minutes to continue? Or? Yes, thanks a lot. So last year, during the pandemic, we launched our health and well-being guidelines. They were 6, and we did this globally and region by region as well. So one of them is protecting and improving health within buildings. One is air quality, water quality, mental health, infectious diseases. Now, and this is very much related to what we went through the pandemic. Then the other component was prioritizing comfort for building occupiers. And this would focus on things like thermal comfort, lighting, acoustics, visual things, inclusive design. Also designing for harmony between the natural and built environment. I think this is an extremely important aspect. We need to bring nature back into the city. We need to focus more and more on biodiversity, because what the human race has done during the centuries or millenniums is that it always managed its expansion at the expense of nature. This needs to stop. This also brings us to nature-based solutions. How could we start looking into using greenery in combating climate change? Another component was facilitating positive behavior and health and well-being within the built environment. We also looked into the relationship between climate and health and well-being. So you need to ensure that although you are increasing the levels of comfort within your real estate project, you also need to take your carbon footprint into account. Sorry if I took longer than I was supposed to.
That's perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think
Thank you.
Very important points there. I think greening cities is actually what's really on the table of most architects right now. There's some spectacular green buildings coming up. So maybe we can discuss that afterwards. Now it's a turn of Kevin Gorman to tell us about what's happening actually around the Mediterranean. But Kevin is actually CEO and founder of Mubawab, which is a large real estate portal. You're active in Tunisia, Morocco, Algeria, and maybe some other countries. So you have your finger on the pulse of what's happening in the real estate market. So tell us what you're seeing.
Okay, thank you very much again for the invitation. It's an honor for me to speak after the three first speakers. I've been with Dr. Mahmoud and Mohammed Asfour, I think 2 years ago. And I've been living under a city governed by Joan Claus, and it's a pleasure for me to be here along. So I have a very quick presentation that I'll share now on a very pragmatic and didactic approach. I don't know if you can see my screen here. See here? Okay. So we're brought from EMPG. I'm not here to do the promotion of EMPG. I'm just here to explain where we come from and why we have the technology behind us to reshape the real estate market. So basically, we're a group, and I'm the founder for the Maghreb region, Morocco, Tunisia, and Algeria. We are leaders where we are on the real estate portals. And from the information we get from those portals, to have 200 million visits, monthly visits, to give us an idea on the volume that we represent on the real estate. We help agencies and developers to go for the right decisions, and we go from real estate portal to transaction. So we help developers doing transaction and agencies, meaning that we do the transaction for them up until the notary. And finally, then in some countries, we are developers. So we develop projects because we know the demand as no one does. And in our case, we're based in those three countries. So the market I know better is the Maghreb, and we're leader in Morocco. So I'll give a bit more insight on Morocco. But we are leading the transaction in Morocco. So can sustainability? I've been answering the question we had from the organizers, and the first question was, can sustainability and technology drive real estate? Well, in our case, technology is a key answer. Is key to answer the challenges in the region. Why? Because for a long time, in the region, the demand was very high and the offer was very poor. So people were selling without even thinking about it. So there was no action plan. It was not a slow and professional development. It's been very fast, and it was hard for everyone to understand what was here to be built. Now, today in Morocco, in Tunisia, the market has a very strong challenges because, and we'll see it after, there's a lot of people searching for a house, there's a lot of stocks from units, real estate stock to be sold. There's a great mismatch between offer and demand. When you've been selling a loan for a very long time, developers have tended to build whatever they wanted and not what the demand was wanting. So as we are in emerging markets, the availability of information is very rare, very hard to get, very complicated. And today, the technology is able to give this information, and we work, and we are the first to provide developers today information on what are people searching for, what should be built, how should we be doing it. And we only do it through technology, and we do it in the region, but we do it as well in Egypt via OLX, in Lebanon via OLX, and in other Mediterranean country above the market. So on the other question, sorry, regarding the sustainability, today the challenges are so high in Morocco or in Tunisia that sustainability has a second, it's not first priority for the government. However, there are some great initiatives that are taken. In Morocco, there's a new city called Zenata. It's an eco-city, so it's the first time in, I believe, in Africa that an eco-city is being developed. Reality, because we are on the ground, people like the eco-city because it's good to be in a sustainable city. But reality is that the demand is driven by prices. Because the prices are affordable, because the government made it affordable, people go there, which is good, but it's the only initiative in Morocco or in the region that I found on the sustainability. If I go back to the other question, was how will housing evolve in response to the economy, to the pandemic? There's a few things I can tell you that the demand is already evolving. So the first thing is, as we've all been in our homes for a long moment, well, there's 94% in urban areas of users that start the research on the internet. So everyone goes on the internet, look at what is available, and then start to target their home when they want to buy it. Now, when we have in the portals, and we have 4 million visits, 5 million visits if we include the Tunisia, 32% of the demand is looking now for a terrace, a view, a garden. So there's real shift in the demand naturally towards peripheral areas when we talk about big cities. For tourism, first reason is they have, for the same price, they get a larger space, a bigger surface, so a bigger home. In Tunisia and in Morocco and Algeria, most of the cities are by the sea. So if you live out of the city, it's fairly easy to live by the sea or with a sea view. So this has boomed the demand in peripheral cities, and which is good for if I go back to the sustainable issue and pollution, etc. It's a very good news because people wants to feel better in their homes. We've discussed about it, and remote working has been very well accepted in the region. Even in Muboa, where we work, we have 200 employees, but we only are at 30% of presence in the office. 70% is they're in their homes to work. And people realize that they'd rather be, instead of being in a major city, Casablanca, Tunis, Alger, they'd rather be in a further away, but with a bigger house, with a view maybe, with a terrace, a garden, something better than living in the center of a polluted, massive city as they are. So demand is already, the pandemic has already been shifted, have shifted the demand. And if we look at the market overview, I'll give some very quick numbers. The prices haven't dropped. We had a speaker on the last on the last panel that we're talking about Tunisia and prices haven't dropped, and it's true. In Morocco, it's exactly the same. The prices are very similar. They have increased. If we look Q1 2020 versus Q1 2021, knowing that here in March, March hasn't been impacted very much by the transaction. The lockdown has started at the very end of March in the region. So the prices are pretty much the same, a bit more expensive, but the number of transactions have boosted by 50%. And this is quite impressive. And this is bringing us to numbers that we didn't see for a very long time in the region. And the reason behind it is mainly that people want to change their houses because they want to live in a better place. And most of the demand within the major cities haven't boomed. It has been mainly on the outskirts of the cities. And if I go back to the question, what are the opportunities and challenges? The biggest opportunity is as well its biggest challenge. We have more than 1 million people searching for a house in Morocco. I mean, in the region, but specifically in Morocco. And there is an economic growth despite the situation, which is a very good opportunities for the real estate in the region. Now, the challenge is that developers find it very hard to develop exactly what people are looking for. There is a large stock of real estate that is not sold in the region because people can't whether afford it, whether they just don't want to live in what has been built. And this is a true challenge for the region, and this is why we need to understand how to develop and how to build what people are searching for and waiting for. And this is where, again, I go back to the beginning of my presentation. This is where technology can have a great help, because we understand the demand, we understand what is offered on the market, we understand, thanks to
I cannot hear you.
all the challenges that they face. The main challenges are always the same: the price and the
We're having problem with your sound a
bigger
bit.
house they want, and we thanks to technology, we can drive developers development to make sure that they build projects that correspond to the demand. And I believe technology is very key in the future of the region, and not only the Maghreb region, but for the emerging markets, as we have low access to information, but a high need for this information, and only technology can go and give this information, as governments have a hard time to get it and make it available for developers and builders in the region.
Well, thank you very much. I think you have your finger on the information on a daily basis. And actually, you confirm the trends in many countries in the world where people look for greenery, they look for more affordable housing, bigger homes with access to nature. And we unfortunately only have like 4 minutes left, but we have a few questions, and I'm going to try to see whether we can answer them. The first one for actually Joan Claus. Is there a project you haven't done as a mayor and that today you wish you could do again as a mayor in Barcelona? Is there something that you would like to focus on, like, I don't know, maybe affordable housing? We don't hear you.
We fortunately were able to do a lot of affordable housing 20 years ago. And they were quite big numbers. But of course, this I would now say that is becoming the most important thing. You know, when you change your city and you make it very attractive, one of the side effects of this kind of intervention is that the prices go up. And therefore you need to find out a public policy in order to contain the prices, because in a big city you need housing for all the social strata. You know, you cannot just specialize with the rich, because otherwise then you have environmental issues, you increase the demand of mobility artificially, etc. Therefore, like is happening in Manhattan or in the centers of the big cities of the world, we need to be able to provide affordable housing where is needed. And where is needed is not necessarily where the price of the land is cheaper, just the contrary. Then we need to find a public policy able to build affordable housing at the hot spot. And this can only be done through urban planning. You need to you need to introduce, building rights in the dense areas of the center of the city to be used as affordable housing.
Thank you very much. We have like 1 minute left, and the question is, how can you combine affordable and green buildings? And maybe I'll ask Mr. Asfour to answer that question first.
Yes, that's a very interesting question. And most recently, in collaboration with UN Habitat, we've developed guidelines for sustainable reconstruction for areas that are struck by conflict. And there are a lot of them in the Middle East, around the Mediterranean. And one of the important factors we took into account was the issue of affordability and sustainability, in addition to resilience, because we cannot plan the cities of tomorrow based on the conditions of today. Things will change, there will be a lot of, so all of this needs to be taken into account when designing for the future. So from my perspective or what I see around me, it's very possible to build sustainable and affordable. What it requires is a little bit more of creativity. And at the same time, what we're seeing is that the initial cost that had driven prices higher when it came to building sustainably have now been reduced because of the mass adoption of a lot of these technologies. So yes, I believe you could build green and sustainable and affordable.
Thank you for that positive answer. I like to end positive note. I would like to thank you all for participating in our session. And I would like to thank again Ascame and also FIAPSI for organizing these very informative sessions. Thank you very much. Sorry, we don't have time for more questions, but maybe people can actually reach out to you directly. Have a wonderful evening. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you for your such interesting contributions. In fact, we have been able to note that the real estate and the urban industry are fundamental basis for economic development. Also, the new trends related to decarbonization, new paradigm focused on sustainability and innovation technologies. Of course, the sector has many challenges to face, but it also comes with many opportunities that it can take advantage of also. And furthermore, real estate has key associated emerging sectors that are essential also to take into account when we talk about boosting the economic development of the Mediterranean region and also in the international context. We have reached the final phase of this second Mediterranean State Forum, and from Ascame, We want to thank you all for such valuable contributions. And also we want to thank you the audience participation. We hope it has been of interest to everyone, and we hope also to see you in the next ASCAMES activities, initiatives, and events. Then good afternoon, and thank you all.